Okay, so before I get started, I just want to clarify with everybody who's listening to the podcast. Based on the last podcast, I've already given my apologies to Galaxy when we were talking about our picks of last year in regards to movies. She picked Dune for the worst, and I took that personal, and I acted very unprofessional. We already exchanged the DMs on that, but I do want to say again, I do apologize for that kind of, irrational behavior. The other of which is that due to the very fact that my last podcast got permanently demonetized, we have to have a restraint on how we express ourselves. In other words, we can't cuss that often, which kind of sucks. It's dumb. Some people can't grow a backbone, but we'll have to go, with the best of our abilities. Like, mild cussing every once in a while, it's really dumb. I don't like it. But aside from that, welcome to the next podcast where we have some interesting topics, mostly things that are kind of exciting, kind of cinematic, if that makes any sense. We're of course talking about some movies. So on the left, on the screen, we have Aeon of Dreams back once again, along with Deafhorse, Ryley, and Galaxy, aka Sleepy, aka so many names I can't keep track of. How are you guys all doing?
Hello.
Yeah, how are you guys all doing tonight?
I am good. I am simply vibing, my dude. And also, one sec. There we are.
All
Cold
right,
one.
cracking cold one to this podcast. All right, two can play that game whenever I get the chance to grab a tea. Brisk, I mean. But yeah.
I am drinking HEB's Twist, which is just lemon lime soda.
So, aside from the delicious cold one, how have things been with you lately, Aeon?
Mostly sleepy. I am getting... It's just a little bit of a depressive episode, but I should be pulling out of it pretty soon, so that's good.
Okay.
Other than that, my life has otherwise been mostly fine. Mostly just working at Amazon and then vibing with friends while at home.
Okay.
Hey.
All right, so Deafhorse, the next row down. How have you been? How have you been? My enunciation is terrible there. Go ahead.
I've been good. Well, as I mentioned last week, was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago, I got 2 new tattoos. That was painful. It was too painful, to be honest.
Oh, too painful. So this was a much more difficult experience than the last time when you were sharing your tattoo experience last month?
I mean, the tattoos were a little bit more bigger, and not to mention they were on the hand I use more often, so... Yeah, that made things worse.
Oh. Yikes.
But the tattoos are pretty much finished healing. Well, they're almost finished healing, so they look really good.
Okay.
But I'm definitely taking a break from tattooing for the time being.
All right. So, next up we have Ryley. How have things been with you this month?
Yeah, looking forward to BabsCon.
Ah, I see.
Galaxy?
I'm sorry, what?
Hi. Okay, so today or the past few weeks has been good. I'm also going to BabsCon. What else? I'm applying for a little storyboard job. Or I applied for 3. Yeah, I've applied for 2 jobs, I think. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But for now I'm doing pretty good. I've been able to have as much as possible to basically apply for those jobs and just trying to earn some money out of it.
I hope it goes
And
well for
also
you. Mhm.
hell yeah. But also I've been doing pretty good, and I'm very motivated, and yeah, I've gotten better when in terms of like what I want to do in life and shit. So yeah.
I can sense a little bit of that mod pie in you. Rock.
Yeah.
You are a rock. Gray.
I'm a rock.
You're great.
Also,
Like a rock.
Golden.
Yes.
I have a very question.
You have a very question. That's your adjective. Okay, that's the
Yes.
adjective of the month, everybody.
question. Um, did people really like go on you or like shat on you for the whole
Dune
Dune
thing.
thing?
No, I was just worried that I probably went a little over the top about that because
Oh, you're fine.
there's some people who do have, those kind of extreme opinions to the point where it comes off a little snotty or condescending, and I don't want to
Yeah.
repeat that kind of issue that some people have. Like, I would give names, but that would just start problems. So, um,
Like honestly, you're fine, and as long as like people are, or at the very least, I'm okay with it, you should be fine.
mhm.
I know that it doesn't come from spite or harm, really. It's just you being very passionate about it, and which is fine.
I think there's that like I kind of said this before in such a way that I don't know if it's a tag like if it's a phrase worth resonated with me, but I stated that even through passion, that emotions are a beauty of express a beauty that gives expressions without words, but they can ultimately come at a heavy price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my memory's a little fuzzy, but I used to use that a lot a few years ago. Um, I don't know how that holds up. I don't know if those are the best choice of words. Um, at the very least, I would hope that that kind of phrase would help some people
Yeah.
to understand how people express themselves, and you got to be careful of what you say on things, stuff like that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
I mean, on a general basis. I mean, if you're if you're getting all quote unquote triggered over something as silly or mundane, then yeah. You were saying
I
Galaxy?
I was saying how, from a perspective of mine, your way of saying it is basically in an ironic sense and comedic sense or romanticized angrily sense.
Okay
But
then.
it's not out of like actual legitimate hate, like, oh my gosh, Sleepy, I hate you. I will kick you out of the chat because you said that Dune is trash, blah 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 blah. Like, I know it's not in an unironic sense.
I would never do that.
I will cancel you because you said that Dune is trash.
I'm sorry. This isn't Twitter.
I will make a call out post on youtube.com because you said Dune is trash.
I mean, yeah. God forbid somebody has a different opinion on something, and
Whoa.
it's kind of like there's been some situations lately. Like it's kind of nothing new, but it's still sad that it's still apparent, and that's like when it comes to having a different opinion, they're just like
Guys, I'll be right back.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
There's some people who don't take it well, and there's some who are just like who feel like they're much more condescending when they feel different from others. And again, that's just something you have to be careful of. Case in point, I've been hearing some stories by a channel I've been watching called Rich of Review Tech USA. And just to keep it brief, there's been a bit of a what's the term? There's been a bit of a feuding of some kind between him and a guy named Quantum TV, I think. Yeah, Quantum TV.
yeah.
Yeah, and all this started because Quantum TV stated that he didn't like Elden Ring, which is one of the latest tough games. I think it was part of the Dark Souls series.
Same developers, and it's written by. The story was co-written by George R. R. Martin of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so
I
from
feel like I've heard
Like-
about this feud.
yeah, okay, so the long story short, Quantum stated that he didn't like Elden Ring, which, that's fine. But then he actually stated something that would draw some people's attention, coming off condescending, stating that the game wasn't made for him, and that like a game should be made for everybody, and that if it's not for him, then it shouldn't exist. Which there's so many different kinds of red flags right there. Like, okay, so I don't like Kingdom Hearts, and I don't like Mass Effect. I haven't taken on it. There's some other games I haven't had an interest for, but just because they're not for me, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't exist. That's complete garbage of a claim. And yeah, so like that's a like that's an immediate red flag. But when people call them out on it, he assumes that they're just a bunch of haters who are trying to get on his back and everything. It's like, dude, it's the internet. Whatever opinions you voice, people are going to hound you. You know, there's nothing much you can do about it. I've had some pretty hot takes before, and you know, I don't like the worst that he did was like what was it, like file copyright claims, and he's basically acting like a child. That's the short gist of it. And we've already had discussions about how some people acted before, like what's his name, Matt Haas with H3H3, and starting like a lawsuit and everything. Like this is unacceptable behavior. You're abusing laws and everything because of a disagreement, and that's very childish.
And then there was what's his name? The guy from Cool Cat that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, Derek Savage.
God.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people were saying things about Cool Cat Saves the Kids, and Derek did not take that well. Derek comparatively did much worse by like filing copyright strikes on people, going as far as to eliminate a channel. I think it was I Hate Everything.
He basically filed a full-fledged like copyright strike towards I Hate Everything, and I think was threatening to take down his channel, because he did a negative review of his movie Cool Cat Saves the Kids. But the hypocrisy
What
is
did I
that
come back to?
Derek Savage and the
Yeah.
Quantum TV situation with Richard Review Tech.
Yeah.
Go on.
But the hypocrisy of Derek was that he complained about people like I think his name was Bogleach and I Had Everything shitting on Cool Cat Saves the Kids. But then you remember that the only reason people knew about him was because Adam Johnson, aka Your Movie Sucks, did a review of the movie, and he was just as critical as the two of them. The only difference was that Adam actually was like, well, his movie is shit, but you can tell he at least has a heart and stuff like that. But regardless, Derek was basically tackling these people, pretty much ruining these channels, all because they were criticizing it, but they were doing the exact same thing that someone who gave him the attention for did. And even Adam Johnson did a video called Cool Cat Learns Fair Use, criticizing Derek Savage over the whole situation, and even pointing out that Derek was more or less trying to use the praise that Adam gave him as a shield to avoid criticism.
Pretty much.
Oh, and then Derek's response to the whole situation when Adam came to the defense of his friends was to delete the original edit he did for the movie because he listened to Adam's criticisms, but he decided to throw that out the window, and removed Adam's cameo that was in his gun safety movie.
Oof. I mean, is that gun safety movie even a thing? Because like I remember that there was like some kind of like donation goal for it, like 10 grand or something.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, it didn't. It I don't know for sure if it got made. But knowing Derek Savage's recent trend of I'm gonna be releasing movies, but yet they don't get made, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just all a scam to get more money.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm a little mixed on it. I still think that like okay, so yeah, obviously we're kind of like derailing the subject from when we were talking about Quantum TV and Richard Review Tech. So, yes, honey. Yes. I don't know.
GoldenFox will be right back, folks.
Yeah, sorry about that. You guys go on. Carry the conversation.
I was just actually I have the best tune to play to No wait, I won't be able to play because I'm pretty much sure that would be a copyright strike. Damn it.
Okay, sorry about that. So, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the Review Tech USA and Quantum
Right.
T drama.
Yeah, so apparently Quantum has been going as far as to try to like file lawsuits or try to drag people to court now, I think. I take this with a pinch of salt. Ryley, I think you have a little more of an understanding on this one.
Basically, he's going around saying, "Oh, it's not fair use." He played the whole entire video, even though the guy who did the initial criticism against Quantum TV, that Quantum TV like filed the copyright claim on, was like he was basically doing like what any commentator does, and he'll stop the video and talk about it and stuff like that. And he didn't even show the whole video.
Yeah, like there's like showing bits and pieces like almost anybody would do if they're going to make a commentary video on anything. And oh my god, Quantum, like, my god, dude. Okay, so I'm going to once again just bring up the brief experience. Somebody actually did a commentary video on one of my videos a while back. It was testing 1 2 3, and I wasn't very pleased with it. I wasn't happy with it, but I didn't drag his ass to court. It's not we're dragging somebody to court if somebody is legitimately saying some things to you, or even if somebody's just making fun of you out of spite. You know, if somebody's just being a bully online, the most you can find out is that maybe they're just harassing and you could just file that. Or even then, just ignore them and you move on. If you're trying to, like, bring somebody to court over something of somebody arguing with you online and quote-unquote trying to make you look bad because you said something that can make you look like a dumbass, or if you're taking it offensively, you're abusing government power. You're kind of like...
Oh, and then there's the added bonus of what we found out about his Twitter history.
Oh,
too.
yeah, no. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, long story short, there's different kinds of people out there, and he doesn't take it very kindly with them. That's the short and sweet point of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so things are kind of going heated between Quantum and Richard Review Tech. And I do remember that years back, Richard Review Tech was kind of like making some glaring mistakes before. And, like, he admits it. He's trying to better himself and everything. Like, if anything, like, compared to what he used to look like years ago and what he looks like now, like, the guy's gone thinner. He's
lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's trying to make himself better. And it's one of those examples of when somebody's, was in a rough patch on YouTube and they're bettering themselves. Those are the kind of people I have to give respect to. And that's kind of why, like, even now I still watch and listen to what Review Tech USA has to say on, whatever subject matter it is. And of course, whatever it is that people say on the internet, including him, take it with a pinch of salt. So So that's kind of a thing that's been going on this month. It's another person online acting like a child, becoming another Matt Haas or Derek Savage. So, with that in mind, anything else you guys would like to share before we get to the meat and potatoes?
I was about to say some shit about the new deal for animation thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, right, that whole thing.
Yeah. Cause there's I think a rally in Burbank about the new fucking deal in animation, because people, of course, companies tend to not think of animation as its own entity and just thought, oh, animation should be, tight schedules and all that. Like basically tight schedules, very minimal to no payment for the animators and all this other stuff. And that is bad. That is bad, and I feel like animation should be taken a credit. And as someone who wants to work in the animation industry, I would very much like that change.
I'm biting my tongue so hard right now.
No, you can. You can go on.
It's absolute nonsense that when it comes to animators and they're being treated this badly of garbage, it's very infuriating. The sad thing is that some people see this as like, this is nothing new, especially when you consider how some animators in Japan are treated, how some American companies have been treating their animators. I've heard like a story in regards to the production of Sausage Party that I didn't know about. I mean, I like the movie, but I didn't like how the animators were treated. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable. I also heard recently about the announcement with the next Cuphead season. It's supposed to be like another season 1, but they're doing this for like certain like low payment reasons to animators, and it's just no.
Mate, no.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Although it's not a new thing because animators have been going through this for what, like 100 so years.
Yeah, this is
It doesn't
BS.
excuse, yeah, but it doesn't excuse the amount of times that this has happened. And even if you were to basically be grateful for the opportunity, you should also get paid and have the benefits as an artist because you have a roof on your head, the food on the table, etc., etc. You shouldn't be able to just sit here with like $13 per hour for some animation. That is fucking sick.
Yeah, it's not just in the U.S. too. Like, look at Japan too. Like,
Exactly.
Japan is fucking
Yeah,
worse.
like I briefly mentioned that, and yeah, no, like animators in like various anime studios get treated like complete garbage.
they don't even make minimum wage most of the time.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, so I'm not in Burbank. I wish I am for, the reasons being told, but I would love to have you guys support the cause, which is for the new deal for animation and story artists unite, just so you can not only support possibly me, but all the other creators
Do you have a
that
link
are
for this?
working for the animation. Just look on Twitter or look for any kind of website that basically entails on new deal for animation. It's currently right now they're still on a strike. But yeah.
I'm trying to search it up right now. Like, what is it? Animator strike.
Yeah.
No, it's new deal for animation.
New deal for
anim. Damn it!
Yeah,
Come on.
because honestly, yeah, there needs to be more pay, more unionization. Like, yeah, it's
Overall, more treatment to animators, especially considering how many times people get mistreated from the business.
Rally for animation. Is that what it's called? The hashtag?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to mention, here's some very sad and unfortunate fact. People, because of the circumstances they have to deal with when it comes to animation, people actually switch careers. Like, they actually change careers because of the burnout, because of everything else. And that's not cool!
No, it isn't.
So I want these people to not only, or me included, not only get stable work jobs or stable income, but also a stable schedules. So that way we don't like go through overtime and not get paid.
Okay, so I'm looking at a page that I found here. IATSE, I think it's what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, so new deal for animation. IATSE members and allies really amid contract talks. I think that's what it's called. If I could, I'm going to go ahead and just link it both in the Twitch chat and the Discord chat. So, let's see. We desperately need a new deal that gives equal pay for equal work. Animation Guild Committee Chair Terry Kusumano, pardon me if I butcher the name, told hundreds of members. Animation Guild members and allies rallied up just the road from Disney Studios in Burbank Sunday to demand a new deal for animation for workers that should include equal pay to their live-action counterparts. Oh, this is news I didn't really think about. Like, how much do live-action actors get paid compared to animators? It has been nearly 8 months since the initial expiration date for the labor contract between Hollywood Studios and IATSA Local 839, also known as the Animation Guild, TAG, or TAG. Now with the deadline being extended as talks over wages and working conditions for animation workers drag on, members are standing firm and expressing their needs, both vocally as painted by members upon dozens of cars. Our master agreement is a living document, and in many ways it represents the industry of the past rather than the industry today, says Terry, co-chair of the TAG Color Design Committee, told hundreds to attend. We need a new deal that pays us equally for our work regardless of what platform it airs on. That equally represents workers regardless of where they are doing at work. He added, we need a new deal that pays animation workers equally to our live-action counterparts, and we desperately need a new deal that gives equal pay for equal work. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just stop reading the article here. this is something that I like. It's with no surprise that I can actually take this personal as well. Not at not at the sheer fact that animators like just for the sake of giving support to animators. But this is just me just coming out, and it's with no surprise. I love animation, and who doesn't?
I mean,
yeah, a lot of animated movies that we watch, like this isn't just nostalgia that we're talking about here. Animation has been around for at least 100 years at this point. And if anything, I think animation is what started movies to begin with. Like, you had live-action pictures moving around in, like, a rotating wheel of some kind back in the late 1800s before, like, legit movies would become a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, like, spitballing my memory of what I've learned so far when it comes to, film productions and such. Hi, Dusk.
Hey, Dusk.
Hi, Dusky.
Hey, Dust.
Hey.
We're talking about animators who are trying to speak up about wanting much better pay because of how much garbage they are treated over the course of, well, any company across the world.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Very fair. Like, I'm not talking because I haven't researched the topic. I'm aware of the issue, but I haven't researched any of the events of the topic, so that's why I'm not really talking right now.
All right, that's fair.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and include the link to it when it's up on YouTube. Like, I've already got it here I've already linked it to the Twitch chat. So if I could find it and just like paste it on a notepad or something like that. But yeah, that's the short gist of it. Pardon my belching right there.
You're fine.
But yeah, definitely look into this, and hopefully we can find some good hashtags around there. Hopefully, if anybody can share those, we can spread awareness, because it's unacceptable, and it's an unfortunate behavior that's been around for the past century or so.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, anybody else want to share anything?
One thing to start the podcast with.
Yes.
Skip it a button.
your sound clip broke
There
off
it is.
Damn it!
Rich of Review Tech USA. Skip it all right, so are we about ready to get into the meat and potatoes here?
Yes.
All right,
That sounds
so
delicious.
Yes.
all right.
Nom.
Okay, so our first topic is the recent Pokemon Presents, or Presents, take your enunciation pick, or pick of enunciation, where it was aired in late February, and a couple of new Pokemon games were coming out, one of which is, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you already know about this one, that is Pokemon's Scarlet and Violet, which is the next gen of the new Pokemon that are coming out. So my memory's a little fuzzy on this one, but I'm definitely going to try to anticipate this one here compared to the other Pokemon generations that I haven't been up to date with. Like, I have Pokemon Shield, and it's still sitting around somewhere. I barely made any progress. But I'm pretty sure that some of you on this call are possible Pokemon fans. I could be wrong.
Correct.
Okay.
Here and there. I'm more casual, honestly.
More
More
nowadays.
casual. Okay.
I used to be one.
Okay.
Like a long
So
time
it used
ago.
to be. Okay. So I've seen what the new Pokemon kind of look like. I don't remember their names, but there's a picture frame that has like 3 of them, and so far they look really, really cute. Especially the little green dog on the left. I don't know if that's supposed to be a dog or what.
It's a cat.
The cat?
It's a cat.
Okay, so it's
It's
a
a
thingy.
cat.
Okay, so apparently I can't get mixed up into. Oh, there we go. Jessica's already got it shared.
I am prepared.
Yeah.
How could you diss the weed cat like that?
Sprigatito.
I didn't mean to diss it. Jesus.
It's
No,
okay.
no, a grass cat, dude. I want to be. This reminds me. In my household, I wish to be the person that when I blaze, I want to have catnip, so the cat will blaze with me.
Aww.
So the name
That's
is
adorable.
okay. So the Pokemon on the left, the cat, the green cat is Sprigatito.
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 Okay. Then the next one is Fuecoco, which is some kind of a alligator-like fiery alligator. Yeah, fiery alligator.
Yeah.
And Quoxley, which is a duck, which looks like,
Duck.
yeah, and the hair looks like it's got a beret on it or something.
It
Or,
looks
yeah, like a
an
military
Elvis duck.
hat.
Yeah. So, just by the annunciations itself, this is supposed to be because each generation has been based on certain regions, and in particular, this one is supposed to be take place in a Spanish region,
Really.
whereas
Yeah, I can tell by the name.
Sword and Shield was based on
I was
England.
close.
Yep.
So that
And Gen 5 was based in New York.
okay,
Yep.
the more you know. So
Lola was obviously Hawaii as well. Sorry, don't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Alola.
Oh, yeah, no, obviously.
okay,
Sorry, go ahead, Golden.
now trying to find something else to provide in the conversation. So, yeah, Scarlet and Violet. It hasn't been announced when it's coming out, but I am going to try to, get involved more and more with it, and hopefully, try to be more active because, like I said, I haven't been that active in playing Pokemon Shield. I've had it like for Christmas in like 2019, so this is a while back. So I haven't.
Yeah.
And it's kind of. It's kind of sad. Go ahead.
It's like when it comes to Pokemon, like the new one looks to be interesting because apparently they're gonna follow up with the whole like Legends Arceus thing of having the whole open world concept a bit more,
Okay.
which looks interesting. But I don't know. I'm interested in getting Arceus, but as far as a new mainland Pokemon entry, I don't know. I stopped playing Pokemon Sword after I initially beat the gym leaders, and I'm like, shit, I gotta make a balanced team to go against them, like in the Elite Four and stuff. That sounds like a pain.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned Pokemon Arceus. God, I like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Pokemon Arceus and
God.
what Aeon?
He caught God.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Arceus is like Pokemon God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
you
there's
can catch him.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say you could catch him, and you could literally have him be part of your team.
Yep. The god of the Pokemon world.
That'd be amazing. But also terrifying because some people could use him for like the most terrifying uses.
No, I just thought of something even more horrifying. Considering when Pokemon trainers are sent out, if you somehow manage to beat God when you're, 10 years old, when most of the trainers happen to be sent out, imagine a 10-year-old that has a thing that has the powers of God and it just obeys him.
Oh, so it literally has the power of God and anime on his side.
Yes! God, anime, and maybe the power of autism, and that would be the deadly trio.
Also, something I actually wanted to say about Fuecoco, the fire crocodile Pokemon from Violet. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, he's supposed to look like an apple, and I can see that, but I think having him as a hot pepper would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, because fire and all
Yeah,
that.
fire and Mexico.
Yep.
Like, a chili pepper crocodile would have been brilliant.
Also, just by mentioning the name, I'm also getting, somewhat vibes just after the annunciation from the Pixar movie Coco.
Well, yeah, Coco.
Except
I'm curious.
we're not crying.
I mean, fair, but if there's, Def, do you speak Spanish?
Viva la Rosa, yes.
Okay, does Coco mean something?
Not really. At least not in my knowledge. When I think of Coco, I just think of the name Coco. I just think of the urban legend of the Coco, which is basically the Mexican boogeyman.
Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm seeing is it might be something for like fruit de coco is obviously coconut, but
Yeah.
anyway, I was just curious because I was like, Fue is obviously from fire, from fuego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sprigatito, Tito is small. Spriga is obviously like spring or leaf, and Quaxley is obviously just a pun on quack. But I am curious about Coco. If anyone in the chat knows anything about that, that would be interesting as well.
Sure thing. So let's see. Ryley, you said something about
Very cool, Dusky.
So Riley, you
Hmm?
said something about Pokemon Arceus.
Yeah, the Legends Arceus game or Arceus game that just came out in the past couple months, like they mixed up the mechanics of the game, made it more open worldish than Sword and Shield, and like made it almost Monster Hunty.
Okay.
And it honestly looks like a game I would like to try sometime.
Okay, sure. I might
First in
look
the
into
chat.
that. I'm sorry.
I put the picture of it in the chats just so you have like some sort of
Yeah.
feeling for it.
Okay, yeah, because I've also I've been clipping apart, the moments from Pokemon Presents. There's apparently another remake of a version, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yeah, but the problem with those is they're basically just straight up just remakes of the original games, nothing more.
So- Did they add the other Pokemon into it? Is there any difference, or they just re-released it?
They just basically re-released it from what I've heard.
Oh, that's a shame because okay, so
No, they gave it an HD upscaling, but all they basically did with them, but they basically just retold the exact same game, everything. There was no like inclusion of the platinum version, as far as I've heard. There's nothing like what Heart Gold and Soul Silver did, or like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did with their stuff. It's just straight up remakes with nothing else.
huh?
Yeah, because I played what was it? Ruby Red, I think. And I mean, I played Red as a child when it came out.
Oh,
which should tell you something.
do you mean Fire Red and Leaf Green, which are the remakes of Pokemon Red and Blue?
No, I think she means Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
No, I didn't play those ones. I am talking what Golden said. Where basically they just added in all the new Pokemon into the old game, and just like, yes, that is awesome.
That does sound pretty cool.
Well, they added more in that version than they did in
so
in Brilliant Diamond, from what I've heard.
okay, so I don't know if I'll be anticipating any of the remakes of the previous gens, like some would. Like that's all personal preference. I did play Fire Red back in high school because I remember the days back when I was in elementary and I was playing the original Red version. Still have it lying around somewhere. All 151 Pokemon in my Pokédex. I seriously hope to get a new battery filled in because I don't want to lose all that information. But what was I going to say? I did play Fire Red, and I was able to make a lot of progress. I do like the new features. Like, there's a short little recap in black and white of where you last were. Like, it has a little bit of a journal, and that's pretty cool. It kind of brings a little bit more life into it. There was something that made me turn away, and yes, you could argue that it's a bit childish on my end, but it has to do with when you're trying to raise your Pokemon, get into Pokemon battle so that way they get stronger. They had a device called the Versus Seeker, and the Versus Seeker would track down any Pokemon trainers that you could fight again. The best Pokemon trainers to fight was in a cave before you entered the Indigo Plateau, and as soon as I would try to pull it out, you would get that stupid message from Oak saying now's not the time to use that. And I'm like, screw you! That is the perfect place to train your Pokemon. What the hell? So, I was like,
Oak
screw
was kind of
that.
an idiot.
Yeah, but, because you can't do that, you can't find, the toughest Pokemon trainers. You have to, find the Pokemon trainers that aren't as powerful. So that's going to make an even slower and tedious process of raising your Pokemon. It's kind of like the whole trick with... let's say, what was it, Magikarp, where at that time, in order to try to raise Magikarp, who has nothing more than just Splash, you had to raise him as your, move him to being your first Pokemon to use, and then you have to switch it around so that way they get a share of experience points.
Or you somehow luck out and find a Magikarp that has Tackle. But yeah, most of the time you just had to switch them out before they had the EXP share and stuff.
At the very least, it's a little bit more rewarding because as you're making progress, Magikarp evolves into Gyarados, and Gyarados can be a very powerful Pokemon. So that's the give or take. That's the risk and reward. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that there's from what I'm hearing, there's nothing new to add with the remakes of Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
Do they even include what was it called, the special type of evolutions and such? I haven't been up to date with Pokemon.
No,
Same.
apparently it wasn't the main development studio
Me neither.
that worked on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It was just a different studio behind, while the regular Pokemon studio Game Freak worked on Legends Arceus.
Okay. All right,
So that was part of it.
All right, so aside from the remake and Arceus, there was also like a few other things. Like there's what's called Masters X. So I don't know much about what Masters X is. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that one. It's got like references, like it has characters that are references to previous generations. Like you have the trainer from the first gen. You have his rival, which I believe his name is Gary.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I've seen a few others. I'm kind of like skimming through around here real quick. Oh, I think there's like a few characters from Sword and Shield.
Mhm. Oh, it's EX. Okay.
Yeah,
makes
Pokemon
sense.
Masters EX. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know much about that. And there's also a series of mini games called Pokemon Cafe Remix, which looks like a bit of a puzzle game. Looks really, really cute. They have this like somewhat chibi style sort of look to it.
I played that one.
Oh,
I
how?
would rather play. I would rather play that than playing Sword and Shield. I'm gonna be fucking real with you.
Oh, that's a hot take. Do explain why.
Like, it's a lot more, even though it's a simple mix and match kind of game, like, you know, that like Tetris, but not really.
Oh, the match 3s?
Yeah.
I love those.
It's kind of a lot more entertaining. Or at the very least, something that will keep my eyes open rather than playing Sword and Shield. Like, don't get me wrong, character designs are fucking quality. The gameplay and what I've heard, however, is one of the reasons why I'm very hesitant towards the new game that's going to be released. Or at the very least, you know, because the amount of times that I've seen of like negative what's it called? Negative feedback towards Sword and Shield made me think that I should probably be hesitant about the next iteration of Pokemon. But yeah, no, the Pokemon Cafe game is a lot more entertaining than Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'm sorry.
I mean, Sword and Shield already had its own controversies considering everything that happened with it.
Oh no, like I remember the amount of times that Solar was going on rants and rants on what different kinds of Pokemon there are. Speaking somewhat of rants, I think there's like been some recent updates with Pokemon Go. I could be wrong.
Is there?
I'm sorry?
I've seen people playing it, but that's about it.
Okay. So I'm somewhat surprised that Pokemon Go is still a thing. Like I say
Joey plays it.
Yeah, and like Keyframe still plays with it, and that's fine and everything. You know, I'm not going to, you know, look down on anybody who still plays it. I still remember back when Pokemon Go was still new, and one of the most controversial things at that time was when
Pokemon Go to the polls.
No, not that. Not just that, but also like it would lead into like in 2016, Pokemon Go accidentally led some people to finding dead bodies laying around somewhere.
I do remember
God, that's right.
Remember that.
About that.
Right.
Because there was that, and I'm like, oof, yikes.
It also caused.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It also caused a few dead bodies to appear, like when people stopped in the middle of the highway abruptly to catch a Pikachu and then got rear-ended.
Oh my god!
That happened.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
people are dumb.
It also led to an illegal border crossing into Canada because there was someone in Montana who saw a Mewtwo, but it was conveniently just across the Canadian border in a really remote area. So they walked into Canada just to catch a Mewtwo and happened to get caught.
Did they even realize they were
by the police?
Did they even realize they were crossing on the crossing boundaries, or were like? Yeah, it would have to be an accident at this point.
I don't know. I don't know what's at the border there.
Yeah, because there are places where there aren't like crossings. It's just like woods. You don't have border crossings all across the place.
But I can totally believe that even if they did see a border wall, a crazy enough Pokemon fan would be like, "Yeah, but that's a Mewtwo." Hello, Canada.
Yes.
I have a worse one. There was an incident where a girl walked into a fucking street, got hit by a car because she was playing Pokemon Go, and the mom, of course, tried to basically send the company who does Pokemon Go to court because her daughter got hit by a car. Even though everyone pointed out to her, hey, your kid was the one who didn't look both ways on the road.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you kind of have to take responsibility on wherever it is you go. Like, I get the idea of why Pokemon Go, like, it's still a thing that's happening. I think it's a game that's an ideal game that just motivates you to go outside and touch grass, you know, go out and get some fresh air instead of sitting in houses all day playing games.
But Golden,
yes.
Do you remember the Pokemon Go festival that happened that year?
I was going to bring that up. Oh my god. I still laugh at that shit. Like, I still love hearing what was it? You hear in the background saying they're special Pokemon, so make them count. Wait, fucking cat!
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
A Pokemon festival that was a disaster.
Yeah, in Chicago, apparently there was a big rally event that was happening. As people anticipated, there were too many people to get involved because their servers weren't big enough for a lot of people to join in. So it became like, because also keep in mind, people paid to come to this event. And because of how overcrowded it was, like, they didn't expect it to grow so big to the point where it's too much to handle. Like, not even the kids were having fun. Like, there were camera shots, like visual videotape shots of people who are trying to, like, work with their phones, and they're trying to, like, move their screen and everything. Some of them even crashed. Even the presentations, like, the bandwidth was so bad that they were playing a clip of some guy who was an expert at playing Pokemon, and his audio feedback was such garbage. It was so garbly and everything. It's like, oh, some of you remember me from this. And like it's not even a regular voice. It's so robotic.
Remember when one of the presenters got a water bottle thrown at them?
Yes, I do.
What?
Yeah. There was a lady on the stage, and she's like, there's fire type, water, and everything, and right next to her is a water bottle that just, like, barely passes her back.
Yeah, it was one big, if I could say it, shit show altogether. It was a fustercluck.
It was an absolute disaster. For some of the people I do feel sorry for. At the same time, like, yikes, dude. You see, like, this is what I mean when I say that I'm surprised that that Pokemon Go is still somewhat of a thing. Like, even after that, the dead bodies and the accident with the kid who got hit by a car, which in that particular scenario, I don't blame the mother for being upset, but at the same time,
don't blame the game.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to things around you. You know, may the kid rest. It sucks. And I'm sorry.
Well, her kid didn't die, thankfully. She just ended up being hurt.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? That just makes the mother look even stupider.
It's like, why? I hate when people decide, hey, let's blame the inanimate object for the whole situation. And it had nothing to do with what happened. It literally was just something beyond the control of that.
The real thing that's been affecting Pokemon Go from, like, the past couple of years or so, from what I've heard, is, like, they made it so if you want to transfer your Pokemon from Go to, like, your Pokemon bank and stuff, it's gonna cost you after a bit.
Ooh.
Like I think you're only allowed to transfer 5 Pokemon free of charge to your bank per month or something.
Yikes!
That's nuts.
Yeah. So if you
Especially
want to
consider
actually
how many there are.
Yeah.
And how many you might catch if you do this as addictively as most people do.
And considering how many Pokemon there are, and if you want to actually use them in, like, the games
We've barely reached 900 creatures now, as I may recall. Like, my God, like 898 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
My God. Like, that's, like, correct me if I'm mistaken, and I just hope I don't get burned to the stake for this, but compared to our real world, would we be able to have 898 individual creatures from around the world?
100%. There are thousands of creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there are thousands? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of animals. I mean, are you talking about different types, like different types of mammals, or are you including, like, let's say there are 2 different kinds of dragonflies?
Well, I would not too different. The former, like different.
There's still hundreds.
There's still hundreds. Okay.
Like, are you just talking like, okay, there's mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, or are you talking like, okay, parrots and crows are two different creatures?
Yes.
Okay, in that case, you are hitting hundreds of thousands.
Okay, then.
There's a lot of animals.
And when I mean,
and
when I mean
we
yes,
also
I
haven't
mean
discovered
both.
them all yet. We haven't even discovered half of them yet.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Especially underwater.
yeah, definitely.
Okay,
mostly.
underwater, extremely fair enough, and quite frankly, I don't blame anybody who would want to explore underwater because you don't know
Also
what
the
you
Amazon.
you don't know what the hell, you don't know what the fuck is under there. So, yeah.
I mean, bear in mind, Golden, we are still discovering new species.
Mm-hmm. And
They're
that's
just less. They're just quieter discoveries because there's so much other news out there that it kind of gets drowned out.
Isn't it that we know more about outer space than we know about the deepest
Yes.
parts of our ocean? Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So,
Because we can theorize about space, because as far as we know, there is nothing living in space. Whereas in our own ecosystems, things are constantly changing. Things are constantly in flux.
No, the argument's more complicated than that. But the reason why in space we can detect more is actually because space is more vast.
Mm.
Because there's a lot less hidden when you can just whip out a radioactive telescope and then you can look back 14 billion years in time.
Yeah. Anyways, we should probably get back to the topic.
Last question. Last comment on this, rather.
Mm-hmm.
According to Google, there are about 8.7 million different types of species.
wow, dude.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Bear in mind, this also includes different insects and underwater creatures.
Well, okay, insects. Okay, then again, Pokemon have bug types, so.
yeah.
But keep in mind that also that not only is there that number, that's only what we know, and it is theorized that we only know about 20 to 25% of what lives on the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Invasion.
I'm not actually sure if that includes things that we knew about but are extinct within our lifetimes. For example, the Tasmanian tiger. There's a couple whales.
Yep.
Dolphins.
I just want to say for the record, getting back to the topic at hand about with Pokemon, like back to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Did any of you see the actual trailer for it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. How much do you feel sorry for the security guard doing his job, walking into the Game Freak office and seeing a bunch of weird shit happening? Like, there's a rumble of a coffee mug. It's like, did we stumble upon Jurassic Park? There's pages of a book opening. The clock is going crazy, and the light shines right in his face.
He better be wondering if he's getting paid enough after that, I'm guessing.
It's either like, I don't get paid enough for this shit, or it's like, okay, I'm now switching to decaf on my coffee. Or it's like, okay, I think I've had enough heroin for one night. Or whatever kind of medication there is. Why would I compare heroin for a medication?
I was about to say that. Here's the thing. Used to be one. In the early 1900s was the last time you could actually get a prescription of one.
That is also true.
And then people realized, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't be giving children heroin.
Yeah, because I remember reading a note when I was reading a biography about Crowley.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, you know who I mean.
Yeah, obviously.
It actually mentions that there was a time where Crowley was prescribed it. However, to demonstrate how he had a freakish sense of self-control, when he was cut off of it because of, they made it illegal after it was dangerous, he actually he successfully was able to quit it without having any the associated mental issues therein.
That's a first.
Oh no, when he wanted to have self-control, he had self-control. Which also just adds to the controversy of Aleister Crowley.
Okay then. It's kind of hilarious that we're kind of diving into different topics. But nonetheless, Pokemon Scarlet.
That's fun of these.
Yeah, but with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I call dibs on Scarlet because red, my favorite color.
Yeah.
I want to see more about the legendaries, and I want to see the final evolutions of the trio before I pick them out.
Absolutely. But speaking of red, I think it's time we move on to a different film. Hold your breath, Galaxy. It's not that one yet.
Okay. Wait, is it Batman?
Yes, it is the Batman.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the one that where Bruce Wayne was played by
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, the guy who played Ed from Edward from Twilight. So
he also played in Harry Potter. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right. He played in
That's
Harry
how I
Potter and the
remember
Goblet
him.
of Fire before he played in Twilight.
Cedric. He was Cedric.
Yeah, he played Cedric. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boy who died.
Yeah. That's not a big fan of Goblet of Fire, but this new Batman movie, we definitely have some thoughts about it. Ryley definitely has quite a lot to share. I have a few myself. So I know that not everybody has seen this movie, but the question is, how recommended is this, and how does it fare out with the other incarnations of Batman for the past 30 or so years? Ryley, I'll let you go first.
As far as the live action Batman goes, I didn't really have much high expectations to begin with because of like the Snyderverse and like the Nolanverse. Honestly, I wasn't too. I like Dark Knight, but that was about it.
Okay.
And then there was the Schumacher and Burton ones from the '90s.
Okay, the Burton one I will give some credit, but the Schumacher ones, even Schumacher himself regretted working on those.
Bat nipples.
Also,
But as far as the whole like really dark, brooding overtone that the live action movies have highly emphasized instead of like the well-written character part, I think this is among the best executed.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that one. Because like, okay, so I will say this, I do like this version of Batman more than the Nolan version of Batman, simply because of the voices. Like in
Cancer voice.
yeah, like gargling or marbles and shit. Like
Where is he?
where were the other drugs hidden? Where is he? Whereas
kill me.
yeah, whereas the Batman in this one, he whispers more. He's like, he lies still. Like he does that. It's to help him be, disguised and everything. Or I'm vengeance. Like he doesn't try to like, yeah, he doesn't try to gargle marbles.
It's sort of similar to how the Burton version would literally just talk. Like he would be discreet, but he would talk normally. In comparison to Nolan, and I like The Dark Knight. I haven't seen the other two, but I haven't seen the other two ones, but The Dark Knight is a solid movie. But I could agree that I do not like the fact that Christian Bale gave that Batman the voice of what sounds like a fucking man who smoked too much cigarettes.
Cancer voice.
Cancer voice. Yeah.
He did it to show us what it was good. Whereas the Pattinson Batman, he just talks normally, whispery like, as you said, but very calmly, and he doesn't even like grit his teeth all the time. He just, I have to discuss this, like just that way. It's perfect. It's a good balance.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Go ahead.
Not gonna lie though, I was kind of surprised they didn't like do the whole. I mean, the reason why the explanation for why he used that voice in the Nolan trilogy was like he was trying to disguise his voice in a way, but like, and this is one of the only clever things I will give to Batman v Superman, is that they actually made it so he uses like this voice synthesizer thing attached to his cowl or whatever that changes his voice when he's talking to people as Batman.
That's reasonable.
And I don't know. I guess I was expecting something like that for this version too, but didn't end up happening.
I mean, yeah, like, okay, so honestly, like, so to give my brief thoughts on this Batman version, like I said, things may get a little spoilery here, and yes, there is going to be some spoiler talk every now and then, but we would still debate if whether or not we still recommend it. This one feels like a tiny bit of a mixture between, like, it's its own spin, but it feels like a mixture between, the Nolan films, with the dark tone and everything, with the touch of the Tim Burton film, where it has a little bit more fiction, a feel of a fiction and not shot in, like, real-life locations, because with, The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, they were shot in, I think, in Chicago, and you can easily tell that it's just straight up down to earth, whereas This one, they have a lot of like nice skyscrapers, but they're shaped in a way that feels a little steampunk. To an extent.
they were trying to like replicate the whole aspect of Gotham from like it's supposed to be like this old city, like really old, having these pillars, like almost industrial age stuff in the city and stuff.
And honestly, I really like that.
Yeah,
It
me
works
too.
well.
Yep. And so the only there are a few issues that I do have so far is that I'm looking at Chris's messages. She asked me something. But no, there are some I have some positive I have plenty of positive things to say, but there are also some nitpicks that I have. And one of which is I'm probably gonna get crap for saying this. Was the 3-hour length really necessary?
Honestly, I've heard that complaint. I don't know. It didn't really flow that badly for me.
I mean, it definitely had a lot of development. In fact, I actually really maybe I'm the only one here, but I actually did like Catwoman here especially compared to The Dark Knight Rises.
Same.
Yeah, Galaxy, you want to share your thoughts on that?
Catwoman in this is pretty good, although I had a little bit of a tidbit angry moment when I saw what Catwoman looked like on the film. And I get it, it's supposed to be her, her start.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen her in several movies. Not this particular take on Catwoman though, but other takes of Catwoman in the past.
Yeah, but Galaxy, as it's stated, in the movie,
I get it.
She's literally just starting out as a cat burglar.
I know, and I get that.
Do you expect her to just have this full-on,
no,
fully
that's
made
not what
costume?
I mean. What I mean is to emphasize the cat ears a little bit. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to her to go kawaii desu kind of shit. No, that's not even the whole point of it. The point is just have her her cat ears be emphasized.
I don't know. It feels like she was only really just putting it together to really grab that shit.
Okay, at the very least, you still like this rendition more than...
Absolutely. This is I've seen several reviews of this movie, and oh my god, the amount of thirst coming out of who's the actor for both Batman and Catwoman?
Okay, so for Batman, that was played by Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Zoe.
Hang on. Zoe Kravitz. Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz. The amount of thirsty fans that I've seen on Twitter about Zoe and Robert is so fucking extravagant as shit. I remember seeing mentions of how there are people who actually moaned in fucking theaters because of Zoe's Catwoman's existence.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that's an actual thing.
Oh my god, dude!
Did bragged about it in Twitter.
As far as Catwoman goes, her backstory in this film is a bit different than other iterations.
Oh yeah, no, even Bruce Wayne and the loss of his parents are different too. The Riddler kind of revealed it to him in a way. And it kind of questions with him and, Alfred, playing as a fatherly
Spoilers,
figure.
by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're not really detailing what exactly happened to his parents, but it definitely, it definitely takes a turn of events compared to the usual, bad guys killed my family, now I take my vengeance on bad guys, sort of thing. Go ahead.
Well, that's one of the things, and I hope we're just going into a full-on discussion about. That's what I really loved about the film, is that it goes into the politics behind the city and why it's such a crime-infested scum hive, basically.
Yeah.
But also just what was it? This take on Riddler is pretty interesting.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
Basically the Zodiac killer.
Yeah. No, because to an extent, I was always wondering, because this is kind of comparing with the Nolan films, that they would have this down-to-earth sort of vibe, or down-to-earth spin on a lot of the villain characters. Ever since The Dark Knight, because we've seen how the Joker was written at that time, and how mind-blown...
my scars?
Yeah, no, we were so blown away by like how Heath Ledger gave out his performance. Like, the dude, even through a humorous phase, stuck a pencil into a guy's face and claimed it to be a magic trick.
Yeah.
So, but despite that, we were wondering, like, how would the Riddler be taken? How would the Penguin be taken? And these are the two villains who are in this film. Like, the Penguin wasn't even written as a villain, but more of just a character who's there and is like, he's a criminal, but he's not the antagonist.
Well, he's basically depicted like he is most of the, like in the original animated series and in the comics, where he's not just a supervillain. He's a full-on criminal mastermind. He has his own business to run in the background, including his shady lounge and stuff.
Yeah, the icebox. So I do like that they were willing to bring the Penguin on this one without, trying to go too ridiculous with it. Like, okay, so yeah, because I remember at Batman Returns, you had Danny DeVito playing as the Penguin, and he literally has to keep himself cold, kind of like Mr. Freeze. But this was taken in a more metaphorical sense, and the Penguin, he's basically the head honcho of a mob that runs the the quote unquote icebox, and that's also where we're introduced to other events and everything. Like how he introduces himself. He's like, "Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart." Funny enough, I didn't even know this was played by Colin Farrell. I didn't even recognize
me either.
Yeah,
I didn't recognize him either.
So I really like that they were tackling on him and taking on the Riddler as this like bizarre, like not necessarily a terrorist, but like a Zodiac serial killer. You said?
Yeah, he was basically like either the Zodiac killer or the guy from Seven.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I can see that. So, I think it's time I talk about the issues that I do have, and this is something that's a little bit more unanimous, and that is the tone. Not necessarily like the grittiness of it or just like the style. I'm talking about the visuals. Like everything was shot in the dark, and this was also a huge contrast to the point where personal experience here, when I saw the movie, like, yeah, obviously there's a lot of dark shots, but the contrast was so dramatic that when they're using flashlights to look through things, sometimes it's like right in your face. It's so bright that it's hard. It was so difficult for me to look at. I'm like, God.
Yeah, that's one of the few complaints that even with the quality that I've seen it in, it's so dark. How dark are they gonna make these movies?
Here's the thing, though. Like, I honestly didn't see it as dark as you guys, and I've watched like most of the Nolan trilogy. Like, I think even this was. I think most of the scenes were well lit enough that you could see what was going on. It wasn't like Batman Begins, where it was like, I don't know.
Okay,
I just felt like I felt like
yeah. I will admit that there was some like bright like orangey shots of Gotham City and everything, and it was beautiful. But when they're like flashing, like when they're using flashlights and everything, and it goes right through the lens of the camera, it's like, oh Jesus! Like I'm having to hover the screen half the time.
I did like how they introduced the Batman, though.
Yeah.
God, the slow entrance, and then the Joker follower just going, "What the hell are you supposed to be?" Gets his ass kicked, and then you just hear that one line.
Yeah.
I'm vengeance.
Ow, I hurt my hand while trying to make the punch sounds.
Also, in regards to the whole fact that the movie's like was using a lot of lights and to the point where it's in the camera, it could have been worse. It could have been those fucking lens flares that J.J. Abrams really loved.
He's not the only one. Spielberg likes a lot of like flashing lights and stuff too.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
One thing that I did love about this movie, and this is something that I've read that the Arkham games did, the big twist over the fact that the Waynes weren't perfect.
Spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
sorry. We're avoiding spoilers?
Well, like I will say this much: the movie is 3 hours, so there's only little tidbits and pieces. We're kind of keeping our thoughts broad.
We should probably talk about what do we think about Robert Pattinson as the Batman.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How much does he compare?
As the Batman, I thought he was good. I like this presence he has when he's out and about. It's just when he's Bruce Wayne, that's when it's kind of like...
It's like, fuck you, Alfred!
Like, I get the idea behind him and stuff like that he, like, he's completely into the work. He has like no time for any kind of like free time with others and stuff. He's just devoted himself to the work.
Yeah.
So that he when he's Bruce Wayne, he's never relaxed. He's just thinking about the work. And at the same time, I would like to see more personality out of him.
I can counteract that argument with this. So, one of the things that I did like about the movie was actually how Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Bruce Wayne was. Because, yes, he does an amazing job as Batman, but it also portrays that while he is dedicating 99% of his time to being Batman, he's focused so much on trying to be Batman that he's literally in essence forgot how to be Bruce Wayne, because he's letting his old obsession with trying to be vengeance and his own trauma, that he literally just doesn't think that there's no need for him to be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
That's why he acts very callous and very like indifferent to the idea of having a life outside of being Batman. Something that Alfred points out to him in the very beginning shot of the movie. Which
I know, but at the same time, it's hard to get invested in him when the only thing we ever see is him in this mood, just him in the work, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him in future movies, and I hope they correct this. But as an introduction, I don't know, his Bruce Wayne version just didn't really grab me.
Okay, that seems kind of fair.
Yeah, I still personally really liked what they did with Bruce Wayne, mainly because of the fact that he's shown to be this very reclusive and isolated person, because he's not shown to be the the party boy dumbass that most of the films of the Batman universe portrays him to be.
I mean,
they show him.
I mean, at the very least, like that's kind of how I saw Bruce Wayne as with the Nolan movies. I don't know much about the Michael Keaton one.
Yeah,
I think the Michael Keaton one, they kind of post him as a humanitarian, whereas at least that's what I think.
But at the same time, the problem with that too is that it makes like the whole point about him having the mask of Bruce Wayne and being the billionaire philanthropist and all that was another cover for the Batman. But when you see him just talking about all this crime and stuff like that, you talk to him, you talk to the Batman, there's no like contrasting and like personality and stuff like that.
You can make the argument that he just hasn't established that just yet. I mean, after all, this is literally his second year as being Batman, and that's one of the things I do like about this movie. They showcase his beginnings as the Dark Knight, and he just hasn't gotten the kinks right yet. And there is a part that I do want to discuss, but that goes a little bit into spoiler territory, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it does, in my opinion, showcase how Batman changes. Well, the Bruce changes from being the guy who beats up criminals to the actual, light of Gotham. At least in my opinion.
I do like how he's not depicted as being perfect either. Like you do see him screw up from time to time, like when he's initially using this flight suit thing.
Oh and he crashed. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's only into this in his second year, so he's still getting used to this and mastering his abilities to be Batman and stuff.
Also, can I just say one absolute thing that I liked about this movie, and I wish it would have been talked about a little bit more?
Go ahead.
Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yes, I like this Alfred.
I like that Andy Serkis has been getting more recognition for not just being a CGI character.
It's like, exactly. Like, we know him so much as Gollum. I literally kind of was shocked when I realized, wait, that's Gollum?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was him until after. Wait, I'm so not used to seeing his live action version that it's weird whenever I see it nowadays.
He plays the role of Alfred well. He knows how to showcase the very like fatherly but still very stern old butler that pretty much was always part of the Wayne family. And a particular scene, again, won't mention it because of spoilers, when he's talking to Bruce, it was honestly one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh yeah, him as Alfred was really good. I liked his Alfred depiction.
I mean, honestly enough,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I liked it more, and this may be a little bit blasphemous, but I liked it more than the Alfred they chose for the Nolan movies, honestly.
Not too much of a hot shot there, because, like, okay, don't get me
Caine.
wrong, I like Michael Caine as Alfred, but this one, I like that he's walking with, like, a cane and such, and this is showing that Alfred, despite his age, is sticking around as long as he can to support Bruce Wayne.
Well, isn't he hinted to be? This is like this version of Alfred is supposed to be like former MI6 military.
Yeah, he is. He's actually shown
that Alfred is.
Yeah,
In the comics, he is.
in the comics sometimes, and sometimes he's that. Sometimes he's just a regular butler who just happened to raise. But yeah.
But the thing is, like, okay, so the majority of comics that I have read have always had Alfred as not just a butler, like he was former something, whether it was MI6 or something else, because he has to know how to stitch up wounds. He has to know how to remove a bullet, because obviously Bruce Wayne can't go to a hospital with a bullet wound.
Fair enough. We hadn't really seen that like the Burton verse or even
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That this one was following more of the comics and was being very good about that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but nonetheless, I do like that the movie does tackle Alfred being pretty much, being there for Bruce, and also again, I did like the fact that he does touch upon the more personal aspects. That yes, technically in essence, he is Bruce Wayne's father, considering what ended up happening to Bruce Wayne's parents.
yeah.
I just wish that we had more scenes with him.
So can I bring up Aeon, bro? You there? What did y'all think of the new Batmobile?
Oh, like the muscle car looking thing?
It looked like a Dodge Charger.
It did.
It's such a shame that there was like only one scene used for that, just to tackle the Penguin.
Yeah.
But oh god, what a scene it was!
Oh,
'cause
it
that
was.
entire chase
I've
only seen
good.
it from the trailer, but it looked incredible.
It was very incredible.
It was good. And it really fucking showcases just how damn good how much effort they put into that scene in general. Just oof.
Let me see if I can get a pic
Amazing.
of it.
What else was I gonna?
By the way,
Also,
I will
this
be right
made-
back for
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Peter.
Okay. Also, a little bit of a criticism I do have about the Batman movie. As much as I loved Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin, I kind of feel like he was a little bit inconsequential in this movie.
Yeah, wasn't he arrested for a later scene? And like,
I mean, he was arrested, but I'm not going to spoil because it goes into a little bit of spoiler territory. But honestly enough, there's not really much that was done with him. Don't get me wrong, I loved Colin.
go ahead.
That's the thing. He's not supposed to be like a secondary villain. He like the Riddler is like the main villain of the story.
The main villain, whereas the Penguin was just more of like an antagonist a criminal who's somewhat involved into some shit, and it's kind of like he's just there. And I think I say that as a compliment, because if you try to make him like another legitimate villain or something like that, you're cramming in too much.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying that he should be like the secondary villain, but I'm just saying it felt like there were moments where it just felt a little bit awkward just having him be in the movie when you could just replace him with another villain.
I mean, sure, but I like that they did I did like that this was trying to take a realistic spin on the Penguin, like I stated before. So
go ahead.
Don't
get me wrong. I do like that. I do like the fact that the Penguin at least does a little bit more in this film. And as I said before, Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin was fucking phenomenal. I mean, effing phenomenal. The dude knows how to play a very, very ugly. I wouldn't say ugly. He's just very chubby.
He's chubby and he's scarred.
He's very scarred and a pretty clear mob, or like criminal businessman in some sorts.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that was Colin Farrell in that.
Same, honestly.
I mean, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to sacrifice themselves for a role. Case in point, the upcoming movie of.
Well, I was going to say Heath Ledger.
Well,
Christian
actually,
Bale.
I've actually read that Heath Ledger's tragic passing was not caused by his method acting.
Oh, what happened?
No, I don't believe it was. It was something
No, many
else.
people say that while, yes, he did go a little bit too far with the role, the actual thing that did kill him was just, unfortunately, him just mixing a bunch of sleeping medication he was using at the time.
Well, that's what
Yikes.
people have always. Yeah, no. So that's always been why he died. It was that the reason why he took all those drugs was because he got so deep into the character that he literally couldn't sleep for days or didn't sleep for days on end. So he needed the sleeping aids and then mixed it with something else that killed him.
Yeah.
So it was both that killed him.
Yikes.
Yeah, but I think most people just immediately just blame method acting in general, even though it was like that
No,
and
That's,
multiple.
that's a thing, because the medication he was using was related to method acting.
It was related to his method acting. For example, Christian Bale is the epitome of method
Oh,
acting,
God.
and he does
Oh,
really intense stuff to his body
Yeah.
that could kill
Oh, yeah,
him.
he does.
Case in point, what's it called? The machine movie. Like, it was out before Batman
Yeah.
Begins. The dude made himself into a stick figure.
He made
the
himself
Machinist, he did that.
worse
The
than-
machinist, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
had to bulk up for being Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and then much beforehand, he really got into the
like that, and he admitted that really screwed up his body doing that to
No,
himself.
like,
And then
like a similar thing happened to Tom Hanks, as I may recall, when he was in Castaway. And he was playing like another role, like back to back, and he had some kind of yo-yo effect with his weight that he got type 2 diabetes.
oh yikes, poor guy.
Like
Yes.
look at this. Look what he did to him.
Hold on, what were you saying, Def? 'Cause I think you were trying to say something.
Yeah, I was going to mention that way before, I think The Machinist, he also was literally getting too far in the role of, like, it wasn't too severe, but he was basically getting into the whole, like, overly beauty, aspects. I don't know how to describe it. Basically, he was being way too, he was being callous and very, obsessed with like narcissism when he was when he was getting ready for the role of Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Mm.
Because that movie is.
Sorry, the only thing I know about American Psycho is he got that look of dead eyes and giant smile from. Oh my god! Now I just forgot the actor's name. Who was the one? Was it Brad Pitt?
No, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. That's the one.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he got the idea of Tom, like, because the book mentioned Tom Cruise, because in the book of American Psycho being about a 80s businessman who's also a serial killer, allegedly anyway, the writer took inspiration from an incident where he ran into Tom Cruise in an elevator in his apartment complex. And he said that the thing that was so creepy about Tom Cruise was that you look into his eyes, he looks so empty and cold, but yet he has a happy smile on his face.
Yep.
That's how you can tell there's something really amiss going on there.
But anyway, in regards to
the Batman.
But I was also trying to reference the fact that Colin Farrell got really fat for the role, and it reminds me a little like very bulky for the role, but it kind of reminds me of what Brendan Fraser's doing, because Brendan Fraser, God bless him, he's finally coming back to movies. He's going to be in a film called The Whale, which is about a man who is struggling to try to reconnect with his daughter because he ended up losing his partner and losing his gay partner. The biggest problem, however, quite literally, is that he is incredibly fat. And Brendan Fraser is getting fat for that role too.
I
It
don't
wasn't
know how
exactly
healthy
thin
that
to
is.
begin with.
Well,
but,
this also
yeah.
doesn't help that Brandon is almost 60. That's a bit of a that's a health risk right there. Yikes. But back to the Batman. Any last thoughts?
One thing I do have to praise the movie for is, of course, the score. Holy shit, the fucking score.
Who did it?
Yeah, the song that the movie intros with.
Yeah, okay, so I'm a little, like, mixed with it. Like, it's composed really well. Like, especially, like, when you're listening to the credits, it has, like, a Beethoven sort of vibe to it. But they're using like 2 individual chords, and I had Darth Vader vibes every time I hear it. Like, you just listen to the end of the trailer, it goes like, bom, 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 bom. Like, I'm just hearing bom, 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 bom. Yeah.
Who was the composer?
I had to look him up.
Fair
I think
enough.
I remember. Let me look him up.
Yeah, because also, like, comparatively, like, I was tempted to ask about how this soundtrack compares to, like, other soundtracks of other Batman films.
Michael Giacchino?
Giacchino? That's a little difficult to announce. So
Michael G. Let's just call him Michael G.
Michael G.
Okay.
No, I also like the fact that Michael G was able to combine his score with, of course, Nirvana's "Something in the Way."
Something in the Way. I haven't heard that song yet, but
it's weird because you listen to the song, like the song itself, like you listen to the song normal, like just the song by itself, and it really doesn't seem it should fit for the Batman, because "Something in the Way" is kind of more or less a bitter song that Kurt Cobain wrote when he reflected on living under a bridge during his teen years, during the time that he was kicked out of his house.
uh-huh.
Hello.
We're
Still
talking about
talking
Batman and the music now.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like the reason they incorporated this song into it was probably the fact that it tried to showcase the idea of Bruce Wayne just slowly becoming Batman, I guess, or his whole quest to try to stop the Riddler, but there's something in the way of his quest.
Yeah. And even though, I just want to say for the record that even though we've explained some spoiler material, that's barely touching a quarter of the entire scope of the movie. So it's still a movie I would definitely recommend. May or may not want to put on some sunshades so that way, if there's any kind of lights involved, because I will say this, at the end of the movie, I had a splitting headache.
I will say though, I do like I do like the ending. I do like what he learns as the Batman.
Yeah.
We almost forgot about the bat suit itself.
I always see them as the same.
Honestly, I like what they did with it. Like, they embraced the whole eyeliner around the eye thing.
I mean,
they made that canon.
No, that's that's always like I remember seeing the original Batman, and Michael Keaton even did that. Like, it's to help keep the disguise on, because if it's just like so.
But they would always like make it so whenever he took off the mask, suddenly the eyeliner isn't there and stuff. Like in Batman Returns, there's an infamous scene where he takes off the mask and suddenly the eyeliner is gone.
Oh yeah, I also remember that in the Schumacher films they did the same thing. Like, even when the mask is on, like, they didn't even bother to put on the eyeliner to keep the disguise. Like, it's George Clooney in a Batman suit. It's Val Kilmer in a Batman suit.
I mean, say what you will about the Burton films. They're classics. They're probably
absolutely.
One of the best interpretations. But I did not like the suit.
Yeah, it was a little bit cartoony.
It looked way too awkward to maneuver in.
I mean, this is a Tim Burton movie we're talking about here. Like, also, like, additionally, okay, so aside from the cartoony sort of, like, suit out there, I do like the version that fits with this one. I don't know how much it compares with the other Batman soundtracks, but I do like the Danny Elfman composition for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's also what inspired a similar theme to the Batman animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes. Also, one thing to note that I really liked about the Batman outfit for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I don't remember where I read this from, but apparently an article said that that Batman's chest plate where the Bat logo is, which he uses in a certain scene in the movie, is actually made out of the broken pieces of the gun that was used to kill his parents.
Oh shit!
Yep.
Nice.
I have heard that.
The edge, but for all the right reasons.
But yeah.
I mean, that definitely fits him with "I'm vengeance." Like that's literally like the best way for me to explain that. It's just that's his way of showing this is me with vengeance. And I say this with a pocket of silence. I apologize for the interruption.
No, you're fine.
So, but yeah, like again, like yeah, we have been given some like spoiler bits here and there, but I still highly recommend you check it out because there's such a wider scope of detail that we would sit here for hours of if we were to.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So
just gonna get this out of the way before we move on. Just gonna get this out of the way. Paul Dano as the Riddler, fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I liked him. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like a lot of other people were like, well, actually, that's going into spoiler territory. So,
but
we probably
like,
shouldn't
yeah,
say too much.
he does leave some like he does go with the riddle thing. Like, what is it? Like the price for your blind eye or something like that.
Yeah, something about justice and such.
Yeah.
If you are just,
please do not lie.
I will say that one of the riddles that they were hung up about, I was like, wait, do they not realize what the riddle is? What the answer is? I mean,
you could make the argument they didn't know, especially considering again Batman's second year being a crime fighter, but. It is kind of amusing.
I suck at riddles, and even I was able to put that together.
Well, here's the thing with mystery movies, because remember, Batman is a detective movie, so yeah. So something to remember is part of it is so the audience gets it before the people in the comics. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they added characters like Robin and the sidekicks was so that they could sort of announce it more to the slower readers, is in case you didn't get it, you get to discover it at the same time, but these are the clues that you're looking for. Like, the whole point of detective mysteries was so for the kids reading and adults reading to figure it out.
It just kind of contrasted with the whole like Seven Zodiac killer aspect of the whole thing to me. Just like that was a little bit too obvious and compared to the other riddles and stuff that they were going with.
Fair enough.
True. Also, before we wrap it up, and this is not going to go into spoiler territory. One thing I did like about this movie that kind of had me chuckle was a scene where Selina's talking to Bruce, and she goes on a rant about privileged assholes in Gotham. And while a part of me would be like, that's a little bit too much on a T, I did, however, chuckle when she said, people like Bruce Wayne. And fucking Batman is just staring at her as if saying...
that kind of goes into the politics of the city.
Yeah.
And
that's why I like it, because it does work in its story, and it does showcase a little bit more to Selina Kyle instead of just being the typical cat thief that she would later on become. Again, the fact that she throws in Bruce Wayne in front of that, and, right in front of Batman.
Galaxy, were you going to say something?
It just makes it hilarious.
Go ahead, Galaxy.
Save me for last.
Galaxy,
you can finally talk.
Wait, what are we gonna? Wait, what?
We're still talking about the Batman.
Oh, I was not saying anything. Why?
Oh, it's because you said save me for last, unless that's for Turning Red.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, so, so we're definitely, like, falling into the spoiler territory. Long story short, this is a really good, a nice addition, or incarnation of Batman that has some elements of Nolan, some elements of Burton, and it has more of a detective noir sort of essence to it. And I like that, and I'm willing to anticipate the sequel. How much are you willing to bet that the sequel is going to be like 4 hours this time, given that this was 3 hours?
Well, I mean, they did announce, I think it was Robert Pattinson who said this even 2 years ago, that this film was going to be more about his whole world's greatest detective angle and stuff, and I do like how they played that up more in this film.
Yeah.
Same. I like that, because I think this is something the other films tend to forget. They focus so much on Batman being a crime fighter, they forget that, he's a detective.
Yeah, he's actually more than just brute force.
Yeah, he's a literal detective going around solving mysteries.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and end here with this topic that I definitely recommend this for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. try to schedule the time of day to see it, like if it's your day off or something like that, because yeah, this movie's 3 fucking hours. I still like try to wonder if it was really necessary, but still it's worth checking out.
Is this spoiler territory? I don't know, but at one point in the film it makes you think it's going to end, but it doesn't.
I never really had that vibe.
And honestly, I mean, for me, it kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight, where after, Batman defeats the Joker, it still goes on for, like, maybe another hour, because you're wrapping up the Two-Face storyline.
Okay, yeah. We should probably wrap it up anyway.
Yeah, but long story short...
It's for an old movie, Ryley, but yes.
Yes, so, the Batman, it's good. We'll let our feelings digest over time to see how well this fares out with the other incarnations of Batman. But as we move on, we're going to get another red, and this is something that I was very surprised with. And this is Pixar's Turning Red, telling the story of a 13-year-old Chinese girl who undergoes a bit of a family line where...
In Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, yeah. Chinese-Canadian who undergoes a bit of this phase where, upon an extreme anxiety, she transforms into a giant panda. And yes,
extreme emotion in general.
Yeah, extreme emotion in general. So, I still we talked about the trailer thoughts behind the movie, and even before then, I remember when, when I first saw the teaser for it, I thought it was something in regards to anxiety because the extreme emotions is there. And the other big hint of it is that after she's transformed into a panda, we see her jumping over rooftops and she's crying because this is something that is just beyond the idea of how she would cope with everything. And then the trailer made it come off as adolescence and puberty. After the movie's initial release and after us watching it, I can say with some caution that I was really surprised with what this movie brought forth here. And I'll probably just say this, and Galaxy would probably agree with me on this. I think this is one of Pixar's best films in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Period. No.
Yeah.
Their best ever since fucking Inside Out.
All right, Galaxy.
Well, there's a reason for that.
All right, so Galaxy, since you've been a bigger fan of this movie than I am, take the floor.
Just remember, no spoilers.
Well, I mean, we will get into some spoiler territory, mostly in regards to its theme and messages, because there's multiple messages to dig out of this movie, but we'll try to keep it as minimal as possible with the spoilers. But that being said, go right ahead, Galaxy.
Okay. It doesn't help that I'm the only Asian in this fucking call.
Oof.
So, where to start? This is set place in Toronto, which is probably the most Asian infiltrated area in fucking Canada.
Truth, except for maybe British Columbia.
Yeah. But, oh my god, where the fuck to begin? Okay. I never thought, because here's the thing with me and certain fictional shit. I don't have fictional crushes that much. I do, however, have characters that I can relate to. It's very rare for me to be like that. Now, think of what I just said, and the movie decides to shoot me with it. This movie literally shoots the relatability out of me like it's some AK-47. The amount of times where I felt fucking an emotional roller coaster throughout the entire film. Golden can vouch for me for this, how many times I've tried to hold my breath every time there's a scene that kind of hits hard.
I don't think there's no other way to sugarcoat this. She was crying. She was weeping.
She was bawling her eyes out.
Yeah. This movie definitely hits a lot of personal notes in regards to what thematically this movie goes for. So so it is kind of going into spoiler territory because we're talking about themes. This has been periodically compared to Encanto in terms of some sort of family dilemmas or what people call generational
family trauma.
Yeah, family trauma, generational trauma. But these are I'm comparing these two are honestly they're like apples and oranges And it really is all a matter
Yeah.
of preference, because that's the big difference here. However,
I think for me anyway, this is kind of accurate, or like at the very least the dialogue that goes with it is sort of accurate from like personal experiences.
mhm.
Especially when it comes to, you know, things that happen with Mei Mei and her mom. And let me say this, Mei Mei is probably one of the best characters ever.
Yeah,
in
Maylin
the-
Lee is a fun character. Like,
She's literally me.
you know, at this point, we'll might as
I
well
got-
just go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say that thing that people use, like the
oh my
minority
god,
thing.
she's totally me.
No. I feel represented.
Oh, so represented that you feel assaulted.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
felt so represented and attacked
I
like entire time.
I will say this, like, okay, so at this point, we'll might as well just call this like for our own personal like nickname for Turning Red. We might as well call it the Gremlin movie, because this is you and the Gremlin friends. Like, yeah,
Yes.
you easily like you and Malin are very, very close connected in terms of personality and shit.
Oh, she's an extra bitch, and I love extra characters.
The way they wrote this character is that she's not so much as a valley girl, like that's what would drive me nuts, but she's
Yeah.
somebody she's a little bit cocky, she's a little bit out there, she's openly expressive of everything. You know, she has this naivety going on with her, and that's a compliment to help develop her character from, you know, expanding her horizons and everything.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid spoilers. But they make it in they make her such a likable character in a sense where she's going through certain phases in her life and she doesn't know how to cope with it. So, along with that, the other reason why I would call this the Gremlins movie is simply like, okay, so obviously you're a lot like Galaxy, you're a lot like Malin.
Yeah.
I kind of picture Panda as Miriam, who's one of the
Yeah.
three friends, the one with the green shirt and the green hoodie. Because
The Jewish one?
I'm sorry?
The Jewish one?
The Jewish one?
Yeah.
Her name is Miriam Mendelssohn. She's Jewish.
Okay, well.
The more you know.
Okay, then. The more you know. Yeah, exactly. But no,
I know
like,
that.
because, okay, so aside from Malin,
That's cool.
Miriam is also one of my favorite characters, my second favorite character practically, because she's so supportive in almost like, okay, I'm not going to say every way, because she also has her own kind of flaws and such, but she's willing to do what she can to be a good friend for
Yeah.
Malin. And, like, that's not to say that Abby and Pryo, I can't
Priya.
say. Priya.
The Indian girl.
Yes,
Sri Lankan.
yeah, that's very, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
and then there's Abby, who's Korean.
Korean,
Abby
and
is
she's
hysterical.
crazy. Yeah, let's
Oh,
put this
yeah,
place on
love
the ground. But no, but Miriam, like, there's a couple of sample scenes here, and yes, this is going to involve some spoilers. It won't ruin the flow of the movie, but it's like during one of the beginning segments where after Malin is trying to cope with, you know, this panda transformation, Mayan and the rest of her friends are inside the bedroom, which is completely decked out, and Malin is having trouble coping with herself to the point where she curls in a fetal position as a panda and she's crying. And Miriam just, like, she decides to do, like, it's part of the trailer where they go and beatbox a song together.
And cats and boots and cats and boots and cats.
The fact that she used Boots and Cats makes me laugh so much because that is
Yeah.
beginner's hip hop.
That is, no,
Oh,
yeah,
it
that
is.
is totally
It
a
is.
legit-
It
really
is.
Yeah, and I
20s,
love that. And
early
they're
2000s tactic.
yeah, and they're like they're karaoke singing to like get her to join in and sing with to, you know, show, hey, we're still friends with you no matter what. And that was such a very heartwarming scene.
It was.
There's also like small bits of it that would easily remind me of Panda to an extent because, you know, Panda likes to say face a lot. There's a small little segment where Malin is like kind of, you know, keeping herself together. Like she walks in a classroom and sits down, and behind her is some random student that goes all, "What's up with her?" And immediately, Malin is like, "What's up with your face?" Like that is something that Panda would so do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Panda, mind if they come in?
Yeah, let him in.
Yeah, no, I was trying to ping you about that.
Yeah.
Let me in. Let me in.
Let me in!
Yeah, so Panda also saw the movie.
I would love to talk so much about this.
Yeah, I know.
It's-
We're gonna try to be like tidbits and everything because I would gush so much about it because
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
I
no.
was really surprised with this movie and how it came out
This
because
is better than Onward.
well, to you
I
anything
mean-
is better than Onward. That's like
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
that's like saying that grapes are better than I don't know nails. Okay.
That is okay, Golden. You were
What?
trying so hard with that one.
Yeah,
I
I
did.
don't get that one.
That was kind of reaching.
Yeah, you were kind of reaching, man.
It's fine.
Okay. Okay, so we're waiting for Panda to come in, but in the meantime, yeah. So the like again, we're trying to avoid spoiler territory. Like I've already given an example of a scene. But yeah, Miriam has become one of my favorite characters with that. The third favorite I would have to say is the grandmother Wu.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
She was beautifully done.
Yeah, I loved the grandmother.
Yes.
The thing I like is that they try to portray her as villainous because of how very
Like she's
well, we shouldn't really too much.
it's
spoil
not
it.
spoiler.
it's not going to ruin the
spoiler.
movie. It does
It's
take a
not spoiler.
turn on that one.
They portray her as villainous, but you start to slowly see that all she really wants to do is just help her granddaughter. She just wants to protect her.
Yeah.
But,
Go ahead.
what was it? Oh, right. I was about to say some really big fun facts about this movie. Some people say that this movie is like some people like say that this is not anime enough or some shit. And then when you watch the movie,
I mean,
it has like a shit ton of anime shit.
It has a lot of like dramatic expressions that you would see in anime.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like I remember that on Twitter, people have compared the style to like the quote unquote Cal Art style. But when I saw the grin on like Malin and such, I was getting immediate vibes on my neighbor Totoro from Studio Ghibli.
Oh,
Yeah.
You want a fun fact?
Yes.
Okay, 3 fun facts. 1, the director was inspired by like a shit ton of animes, like for example, Sailor Moon, Ranma 1/2, etc., etc. Also, one of the titles that this movie was gonna be called is My Neighbor Toronto.
Oh,
That's
no.
Oh my god.
That is way
Yeah.
too on the nose.
That was
Little
going
too
to be
much.
one of the titles for this movie, and they ended up going with Turning Red.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah,
I like Turning Red better.
yeah.
Yeah,
same.
that's a much more appropriate title because, yeah.
Too on the nose.
I don't think it's even a thing about appropriateness. It's just better than something that on the nose.
Yeah.
Oh, and that
You're cutting out Galaxy.
I don't get why she gets so much hate for this movie, but also she made a short film which is
Bao.
similar.
Bao,
to-
yeah. Domi
Yeah.
Shi directed Bao first, and then she took up on this one. So,
Oh,
That's her first.
yeah.
That's her first like actual full length film, not short film, but full length.
Yeah.
And this, along with Bao, gets so much criticism of all things.
Yeah, like I don't get it. Like
I don't
It-
get it.
like with Bao, it was a metaphor for the empty nest syndrome and like parents learning to, yeah,
let go of their kids and just let them, grow up, and that
yeah.
Yeah,
you
and
can still love them even if they get older.
And it's like half the criticism is like, oh, she's too like rebellious or she's too
Have you?
disrespectful.
Okay.
And I'm just like, have you ever been a teenager?
No, here's the thing.
Have you watched any other
ever
Disney
watched-
movies?
I was about to say, have you seen any Pixar movie at all? Like, Ryley, for example, not you, Ryley, the Ryley from Inside Out, literally grabs her parents' credit card just to go back to her home state, and nobody bats a fucking eye. But when this movie does it, oh, it's bad now. Like, what the? Even
Kids-
Mulan did the exact same thing. Like, she rebelled from like her parents, not because against their will, for their own good, because her dad was about to get abducted.
Yeah.
I don't get the
Press
fucking
ganked, but yes.
criticisms towards this.
It's also hilarious and kind of sad that some people okay, so it's one thing if you're not into it that much, but some people have been criticizing it because they can't relate to it, which
Just fine, but it's
relating shouldn't be a factor into, what you're criticizing. You can still get engaged with it.
Yeah, it's just like, and I don't get it. It's like people are saying, "Oh, there's pads and that kind of stuff," and I'm just like, yeah,
dude, kids need to be taught this stuff. Okay, it's like having to learn to go to the bathroom. It's a part of a body change and development.
Exactly. It's part of what a human body sorry, I'm man.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I was about to say.
Sorry. Go Galaxy.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about the controversies real quick because this actually pissed me off more than anything. I do get the controversy towards what was it, Animaniacs. I get the controversy towards a certain amount of movies or mediums. Hell, I get the controversy for Nagatoro. This I do not understand. Because the amount of times that I've seen, I remember seeing a tweet where it's like, this is like the worst representation of Asians ever, and I'm like,
have you seen the Mulan remake?
And then they proceed to say that anime is the better representation than this ever will. It's like, if you think this is like the best if you think anime is the best representation of Asian women in general, you probably need to watch any other Asian movie than this, because I can guarantee you, as someone who is Filipino and has half Chinese, you can fuck off with that.
Also, little tidbit, because I think I know which tweet you're referring to. The hilarious part, that person even admitted they hadn't even seen Turning Red yet.
Oof.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So they hadn't even seen the movie, and they were automatically going, "This sucks."
They're already
it fucking
judging
sucks.
No, I think some people. I'm not saying everybody. I think some might be doing it for attention seeking with a lot of it. Not saying all of it, but some of it, because Disney sponsors things that are way darker or cover way more gruesome subjects than this movie does. Like, for instance, they show, just take another property, for instance. There's unironic genocide in Star Wars with directly stated child murder.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's a way more extreme than just mentioning that pads exist.
Oh my god, pads exist.
Okay, here's Anakin gutting children, but oh no, you mentioned that pads exist. We can't have that.
Which, by the way, I'll give this movie...
I've seen so many women on Twitter, or in Medium in general, who actually cried because of the fact that, this is a good thing, by the way, who cried because it's normalized. This is probably the most normalized periods has ever been. Being honest. And the sheer fact that there are people who criticize the shit out of this movie all because it was unapologetically horny, apparently. Or the fact that this, or the sheer fact.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's
go ahead, Galaxy.
What? I'm just so weirded out by the criticisms that this movie gets, and this is not even the most I've gotten from Domishi. Domishi was getting criticism for Bao too, which is
how?
I don't know how.
What was wrong with Bao?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because of the themes that goes with it, I think it's something similar to
Obsession
Turning
or something.
Red's criticism.
I don't know. Yeah.
I do not get it. And yes, different experiences can happen to people, including people of my ethnicity. Have people ever thought about that?
Apparently not.
It's crazy how this movie gets. I get it if it's it's one thing if it's something that's on the caliber of it's the art style for me, which is fine. But the other things that happen with it, or at the very least, there's this one YouTuber that I saw where he basically was on his what's it called? Jehovah's
High
Witness bullshit
Uh-oh.
and criticize the shit out of this movie because of religious purposes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
How
it's-
exactly?
Yeah, I'm like, this
And
doesn't
I'm
even
like-
talk about
Oh,
religion. They
God.
talk about
This wasn't-
puberty and growing up.
It's not even
it's very what do they call it?
Evangelical?
Here's the thing.
Yeah, evangelical.
Evangelion.
Here's the thing, with this
Evangelion.
movie or this person, he doesn't do it he does it unironically too, which
Is it because of the whole? Let me guess. The whole ancestor worship is like that's paganism.
No,
Yes.
it wasn't even just
Yeah.
that.
or at the summoning or something about the summoning part, but just the whole criticisms towards this movie like baffles me. Like, this movie wasn't even released yet, and people were shitting on this.
Yeah, they did.
Like, people were pissing on this like it's the last urinal they've ever pissed on.
Yikes. Yeah.
I do not get the criticisms towards this movie. I get if it's not something that you like.
Yeah.
I get that if it's something that's like that doesn't interest you, or if you're self-aware that you can't relate to this. I get that. But the specific comments that I've seen of this movie is so asinine.
It is.
Oh,
Yes.
I was about a good side note ish. This movie or the boy band that was inspired by this not only was written by Billie Eilish and Phineas, who
Yeah.
are siblings, but also was inspired by K-pop groups, which is Big Bang and 2PM.
Yeah,
I thought it was inspired by like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
I mean, that's
No.
an obvious reference here. It's more like two different sides of it to form to it, like kind of form its own band name.
Which kind of contradicts of like it's not really a bad nitpick, but it's like which kind of contradicts the entire point of this being in 2000s.
Yeah, that's
Wait, why
that's
does it-
another
Why
that's
does it
another
contradict it?
Go ahead.
well that's
Go ahead,
that's
Riley.
that's another aspect of the film that we should really bring up. It's like it's set in 2002.
That to
And,
me is a breath of fresh air.
I know,
honestly.
but it's just like when you're first thinking about it, you're just like, huh, 2002. That wasn't that long ago. Wait.
Yeah, I know you feel old as hell.
Yeah.
It's suddenly you feel old.
Someone born in the time this movie is made is now legal and can almost drink in America.
Oh my god.
What was it? I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. I've actually watched this with my mom, and I've seen her entire thing about it. She was actually happy with it. She kind of jabbed at me for how much Maylin is literally me. She jabbed about like she literally jabbed about how much this movie is a good movie, and she thought about how
Panda.
basically
Panda!
this movie
Hey, Panda.
Panda pause.
Panda may not actually be talking. Panda just wanted to listen because they couldn't hear the
Okay.
Twitch.
Okay.
But what was it? She thought about how this movie kind of represents not the panda in you, but the panda is basically how you feel towards things and how you can overcome those specific things that May has gone through. And the thing about this movie to me, especially with how much it meant to me in that regard, because again, I'm the only Asian in this fucking call. I can guarantee that this movie hits so hard with how much, like, don't get me wrong, there are certain people of my ethnicity who wouldn't be relating to this movie, but if you're talking to me, I can safely say this is one of the best written and best visually appealing movies that Pixar has ever made.
Oh yeah, like
Absolutely.
Like, I've actually teared up watching this movie.
Well, I
And
mean,
just-
we've already mentioned that before.
Yeah. But the thing about this, you want to know what it reminds me of? Like the fourth wall breaking and shit.
Oh, what does it remind you of?
I don't know if you guys ever watched this show. Ned's Declassified.
Oh,
Classic.
Ned's
I
Declassified.
never watched
Yeah,
that.
the fourth wall breaking kind of reminds me of that kind of show. Not Deadpool, because that's an obvious thing to think about. But in terms of how this is setting place in schools, it kind of reminds me of that alone.
Okay. Also, Golden, to give you a little bit to make a long story short of that show, it basically focused on the adventures of a kid named Ned and his friends going to middle school, but most of the episodes would at times have Ned talk to the camera and explain tips of how one should survive middle school.
Hence,
Like
Ned's
helpful tips.
Hence, Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
Yeah. So I can see where Galaxy was going with the scenes where May would talk to the camera, similar to what Ned would do in the show as well.
Okay.
I was about to say.
Back
I'm
to
sure,
the
but
movie, or
Aeon and I watched it, and he actually had some interesting noting things. Because, okay, yes, they are all girls. There's one boy throughout the entire thing.
oh, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
noticed when watched from a male perspective, I was actually somewhat impressed that they managed to make a movie about a female story that didn't have any male bashing in it. Which I was pleasantly I was pleasantly surprised by that because I would have totally expected them to just be normal about that. But one, there's a headcanon about the husband. Sorry, I'm not remembering the name of the father, but
I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
yeah. There's a headcanon that I like about him that he was able to calm down the mother through his cooking, which is why they emphasize it so much.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, the cooking scenes.
Yeah, but personally, I follow that headcanon. I know it's probably going to get there's probably something that discredits it later, but I personally like that one. But anyway, every time you otherwise see them, they're otherwise fairly competent, and if there is a feminine issue, it's only treated in between the other female characters, which, in my opinion, is a little bit more like appropriately focused because it's kind of a waste of time to just have an outsider scene. Also, that you can clearly tell that what's the name of the you know what I mean, the boy character.
Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler.
You can definitely tell he's going through like an inverted coming of age story in reverse, and you can kind of pick up context clues about it in a very minor sense, like how for instance, he seems to be bothered by the fact that on one hand he seems to want to be accepted, but on the other hand also is plainly aware that no one seems to genuinely want to be with him. Notice how, like, when people are at his party, no one came for him.
They came for
They
May.
came for the panda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the entire party actually puts him under social pressure when he tries to ask her to come back down.
Pretty much, yeah.
And notice at the end when he goes to the concert, there are probably people he could, like, I know there's the whole stigma thing, but there were probably people he otherwise could have invited and gained prestige with, but he probably gave up on that, especially after the party, because he probably had a little bit of a switch flick or something wake up, because he probably could have gained a lot of social prestige, and he probably knew that if he just flashed a lot of money, but instead he chose to come on his own.
Yeah.
But
like for his own enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then he gets accepted by the others, which I kind of think is a little bit sweet, because that's probably what from his perspective, something of genuine acceptance was probably something he was looking for. Now, I might be reading stuff in, but it is cool that you can extrapolate that this is probably a thing that is happening in the background through context clues.
Yeah, I think that also plays into the idea of whether or not some people would enjoy listening to boy bands and such. Like, obviously, girls would be into that kind of stuff, like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. But hearing that, but in that time, when it comes to listening to boy bands from a boy, it can be very, very tricky, or it can be a little delicate.
It's not always necessarily that. Like, even now, like, we might even forget about that because of how expressive
nowadays we can listen to it with no problem.
But it's also that the other male characters seem really level-headed too. Like, again, the dad was already making the chalk thing, and I also love the shaman character just because of how easygoing and laid back he is, and his voice actor.
William was.
Yeah.
William Hong, that's who it is.
William
But I
Hong.
also love that, like, I know this is a thing that I would appreciate as something of a Western mage, but on a shamanic perspective, I like that he has kind of an anything goes approach when it comes to his magic, because I'm like, I haven't studied much of any Chinese magic or magic systems, even though I am aware that they exist. However, I like, from a Western mage perspective, the idea of, just doing it because it alchemically works, or at least in the West we would say because it alchemically works, is a valid method for how it works. So like a very chaos mage approach would be, you can sing whatever you want, you just have to mean it. That's the chaos mage approach, whereas a traditional mage is, you have to sing this ancient song that we have passed down.
I think, if it's singing an ancient song, wouldn't that contradict the final act?
Well, exactly.
No.
He was saying you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
But the idea is, like, a master would know this, which is why he can do a magic spell or a shamanic spell with Terry. What was it, Bennett?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he can do it listening to or singing Bennett. Whereas if you're not like Ryley, I don't know what you remember from Grimoires, but you might be able to remember this. The more advanced you are, the more that you can kind of just do it with less and less, or even with anything, especially if you're in chaos magic. But if you're learning stuff, they tell you to do the original thing because there's a sense of power that you can mentally give to it more easily than something you come up with on your own, which is more easier to do when you have a grip of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Plus, also sealing a panda demon inside a Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God,
should we talk about like what exactly the whole red panda aspect is?
Well, I just want to point out one last thing, and also I was kind of giggling because I am aware of what the number 4 means in Southeast Asian culture. So I find it funny that the grandma, who is my favorite of the women in the movie, she is actually my favorite character. Female character, yeah. I find it so funny that she had hers sealed in a 4 because that is like the Southeast Asian equivalent of 13.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like there are some hotels, I'm told from some like paranormal investigators from that region of the world, that will not have a 4th floor. But that was I was told that story from someone who was in South Korea.
Well, in Japan, for instance, the number 4 has the whole she aspect, which is also which means death or die, which is where Shinigami and stuff like death gods come from and all that. So,
and why they don't have floors with the number 4 on them.
Yeah, no, I was saying like in South Korea, a common start to a spooky urban legend is if you end up on the 4th floor of a building, which shouldn't have a 4th floor.
Yeah. I was about to mention this one scene a little bit where what was it? It was the one where the mom literally was like, and who did she? Wait, and who do you think? Who do they think they is?
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion. The delivery is so amazing.
So here's the reason why part of why that's so amazing is people in Canada of the younger generation don't actually like Celine Dion. It is an older generation thing. So the fact that the mother says it is the funny thing.
Yeah.
Like if they had one of the little kids say, "Oh, Celine Dion," it would have been like, "No,
Hello, fellow Canadians."
Yeah, exactly. The fact that they got it from the older generation saying, "Who does she think she is, Celine Dion?" Like, yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Like I've never heard someone my age or under talk about Celine Dion. My mother's age, absolutely.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think this is one of the first movies that mentioned not only drugs, but stripper music. Like, basically comparing, like, a boy band song to stripper music.
And the gyrating.
I don't know why that's, like, yes, gyrating! I don't know why, but for me, that's, like, the funniest thing that has
and the
ever
fact
happened.
that they show fucking pads and stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Like, I've seen.
No, I'm not knocking it.
No, I'm. Yeah.
Sorry.
Can't talk, but yes, good. Is good, and Ryley was agreeing is good.
I was so happy to see that. Apparently, I've seen a theory that this movie is basically a metaphor or symbolism of Shark Week or Period Week.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
not. It's not subtle.
It's
I mean,
really not subtle.
It's
May
not at all.
turns 13, and it's pretty. And the movie flat out even has scenes where they refer to period.
Yeah, honestly, I was horrified that the mother, like, when the mother says that, oh, I thought I had all this time, she's just a little girl. It's like, I don't know about all the other females listening, but I got my talk when I was 8, so
Oh,
she's 13.
I've
That's
had-
like
Well
old.
then,
I think
like,
I've had mine. when
Your
I was-
parents have to prepare you. Like, kids can start as young as that. They need to, like, if they don't prepare you, you're going to have your child freak out on you.
Well, didn't she establish in the movie that, well, maybe I'm just thinking, no, wait, she said this with the panda thing itself, but she said she thought she had more time or something. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying, is the parents, again, I got the talk when I was that young because my parents needed to prepare me. I didn't get it when I was that young, but, like, they wanted to make sure I was prepared and not freaked out. Because, like, I see it all the time in all the books and all everything. Like, the kids are completely freaked out when they don't know what's happening to them. It's just like, why didn't their moms just talk to them? Like, it's one thing if they grew up without a mom, but, like...
And here's the thing, kids aren't as stupid as we give them credit. Like, I still remember being these girls' ages, and I would say like a lot more horrible shit than they would.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
By her age, they know everything.
no, like
Especially
okay,
in
put it like
modern
this:
day.
if you have seen the modern version of the movie It, that actually gets
Yeah.
like child dialogue correctly because that is how you talk when your parents aren't listening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're
Yes.
outside and you're talking with other friends, you just let loose.
Exactly.
I wish I had that kind of experience. I grew up having to go to daycare because of my autism. Anyway, sorry.
pain and suffering.
Oh,
Right. What was it? The sheer fact that, like, what was it? Like, the transformation of the final act.
no, we that's
Yeah.
Well,
spoiler
okay.
territory.
Well, okay. At this point, it's been kind of talked about all over the web that even by accident they would show up in like people's feed and such. So I think it's like we can spoil like something. Like it's still worth a watch if you haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet. So
Okay, so warning
once-
to people, we're going spoilers.
Yeah, this is going to be a spoiler warning. So, in the final act, Malin decides she wants to go to the concert still. She finally makes her way through, and her way of trying to like making her way like across town to get to the stadium
Making
is
her way downtown.
Yeah,
Taking my way down to
if to finish off my sentence, it's wonderfully shot because you see like
Yeah.
shots of the moon and everything. It's a breathtaking
This is
scene.
my Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
But after she gets to the stadium, her mother Ling, who doesn't take it very well, she unleashes her panda and becomes a fucking kaiju walking
Yeah.
inside the stadium, and it's like
Kind of shows that not only is what was it Ming? Is it Ming?
May, I think her name is Ming. Yeah.
Malin.
Yeah, it
Or are
goes
you
to
talking
show
about
that-
Ling? Ling?
Ling, yeah.
Yeah.
It wants to show that Ling's panda is something that not even her mom can handle.
Well, I love how
And-
it's. Oh, sorry.
And the sheer fact that this movie kind of tells that, hey, this is something that takes her back, and she has to carry that burden or carry that weight that she has been. It's not as good as some people say when it comes to how they depict generational trauma as much as Encanto, but one, it's different. Two, for me, it kind of shows how Ling was actually carrying this burden ever since she was like a teenager, or ever since she fought her mother just for her husband. And that's even the reason why her her mother had a scar on her eyebrow because of that.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna mention I love how they foreshadowed that because I remember that scene in the beginning and I was like, oh, they're foreshadowing something with that, aren't they?
And they did a really good job with it. Also,
Yes.
sorry, on.
No, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna reference that, even though it's a serious moment, I still love the lines that come out of May and her father when they see how big Miss Ming is in her panda form. She's like, she's huge. I told you she was big. That big.
No, I love how he's like somewhat chill about it. Like, oh yeah, it was that big. Like, he was that big. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like how they acknowledge the the person's reaction versus the outsider's reaction towards.
Well, I mean, another thing too is that he's already seen her at full size. Anyway. He even mentions that she took out half the temple. So as far as he's concerned, he already had his amazing oh shit, wow, this is incredible reaction. Now he's just like, oh, this is back. Told you she was big. Told you.
Well, what I also love about the third act is that as Ming, that's apparently the name, Ming is in the stadium trying to find May, and the way they're duking it out with each other is the equivalent of a family argument, and seeing how each one is letting out their feelings, because that's the other thing that also really hits close to home, that it's family confrontation in Generation Trauma is terrifying to come across. Because these are people you grow up with and you look up to. And it can get really, really sour. And it really showed when May was taken on Ming, confessing that this was my idea to go to the concert and do a bunch of other things, in which I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie from there. But that's just one of those aspects that really hit close to home. And even afterwards, when after everything is duked out, we have a bit of an emotional, we have some emotional baggage that just goes along the way.
Yeah, not to mention,
go ahead.
It's not easy for, people like me to even go through something like that. Not to mention, they've showed how this, the red panda thing is, at first a good thing, but as time goes on, it kind of resembles itself as something that's a bad thing. And they've stated or implied that May is probably the first in the entire generation, the first time in over generations that she was able to
1,000
control
years or
it.
something.
Yes.
It is the first out of the entire generation to actually control it, or at the very least show their best and worst sides of it, not just the worst.
Well, that's the thing though about the original cause of the curse is that it originally was used to protect the family. It was originally used by the family back in the day to protect against village. What was it like?
At this point, I wouldn't even call it a curse. That's why I had to restrain myself when it was briefly explaining the general premise. It's I wouldn't call it a curse. If it's a curse, go ahead.
Well, the mom referred to it as
an inconvenience, which which to me I think is a different term compared to curse.
Yeah.
Well, it's because in an old world full of warlords and warriors and things like that, as violent as medieval China could get, and it could be extremely violent. Back then, it would have been a blessing because it makes sense. But in the modern world, there's kind of not a need for that anymore. You're not being if you're living in the middle of Toronto, you're not really at risk of being pillaged by raiders. Certainly not.
I mean, there are the taxes there.
Yeah, but I don't think turning into a panda is going to help protect you from taxes.
Big butt
you
up
never know.
tish.
No. Okay, Dusk, if you say that, all that means is you have not encountered the IRS. Even Joker will not mess with the IRS.
We don't have the IRS.
Yeah.
Oh.
We don't have the IRS.
That is true, but there's no way what you have could be worse.
They just sent you a very firm email at some point. Excuse me, we noticed you haven't paid your taxes.
Should we mention the faces and animation though?
Good.
God,
Yeah.
I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Took
And
a
that's
while to get
probably
used
the
to, but
most,
honestly, I
like,
liked it.
Yeah.
I don't mind them, but I don't love it either.
Oh,
I
that's fair.
love it. Like, I love how it's not... Like, here's the thing about Pixar film, and why I love this film compared to a lot of the other... It's just, they go so heavy into being so hyper-realistic sometimes while having some cartoony aspects that visually it becomes kind of boring. Which is why I love what they've been doing with like Luca and especially this and mixing up their art style and putting more emphasis on comedy and reactions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention this
Ye-
movie was inspired by so many animes, including Ranma,
Yeah.
which is why there's like several like very good facial expressions.
Yeah,
And
it's like it's not like what was it, The Good Dinosaur, where like everything was animated so hyper realistically that at some point I was just like, okay, they're just, and you might want to censor this, jerking themselves off at this point and not really having a point to it.
Yeah, no, it's it's kind of
I
like
have-
it's kind of like the live action Lion King before the live action Lion King.
Yeah. Like they could basically have done what they did with dinosaurs and just filmed a live action location and animated the Arlo and the other humans and stuff onto there instead of like,
I'm glad that they didn't do that because this would eventually because when it comes to because that's the thing back in like the somewhere around the 2000s everything was getting texturized and everything and it does come off like impressive at first. But when you do it so often, not only does it get old, you're also taking away the charm and the essence of it being a cartoon. It's one of the reasons why I wasn't too big on CGI and why I liked hand-drawn animation more. Now they're working with more various styles and everything from what Turning Red offered compared to other movies like Spider-Verse or the Lego Movie that they feel that they develops its own personality of an animation style and not so much as just relying on hyper realistic imagery. And don't get me wrong, you can see the amazing detail on May's panda and how much how many strands of fur are all animated individually.
Go ahead. It just reminds me of like how I heard how when they were making the original Monsters Inc. film, it would take 4 days on their computers to render a single frame of Sully's fur.
Good God.
Yeah.
I heard it took 8 hours to render him just still.
Yeah. The rendering time for those movies back in the day was ridiculous. Like I can't imagine they're terribly much better, but I don't think they're going to have to worry about it going on for days.
Yeah, technology has become much more advanced.
In terms of animation, yeah.
Yeah, these days it's gotten much more advanced. But so at this point, I think we kind of gone over a lot of the main aspects of Turning Red, and unless somebody has something else to say, any final thoughts before we move on to the Q&A.
It's good movie.
Oh, I thought this movie was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It's very good movie.
It's
As
literally
far-
Encanto 2, but Asian, which I'm perfectly happy with.
Asian Canadian.
There's this-
Go ahead.
No,
Asian Canadian.
I just remembered this one tweet. Okay, so no one will get the context of this, or no one will get the joke of this unless they've researched it and all that. I remember this specific tweet that I found about this movie where they literally said, people who make Minecraft YouTuber fanfics have their new Black Panther.
Oh, yikes.
The worst part is that I was one of those people back in the day.
Not sure I understand it.
To be honest, me neither.
Yeah. But long story short, Turning Red was great. I saw it again last night on Disney Plus. I highly recommend it.
I've rewatched it.
yeah, I rewatched it too. I still love it to death.
I rewatched it 5 times.
Yeah, I've noticed. But yeah, no, like, don't listen to what some of the critics say when they're saying things like, "Oh, this is like toxic for kids" or something like that. No, kids need to learn this stuff, and it's just go watch it. It's a fun movie.
I honestly felt a little more at ease watching this than Encanto, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, Encanto is a good film, but considering the shit considering when I first watched it, I was just not in the best of moods. This movie made me feel more at ease.
All right, so.
Like, again, it's not a bad movie, but first watch, I actually was like not in the best mood.
Yeah. So, are we ready to move on to the Q&A?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Ryley, we're in Q&A, bitch.
Why
Why would
what?
you direct it towards him?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Ryley!
Like, jeez.
Riley just want to do a podcast, and he's feeling so attacked right now. I'm memeing, by the way.
Okay, let's do Q&A.
Yeah. All right. So, obviously, there's going to be some stupid little delay before somebody types down a question and such. So, do.
Imagine me just like hyperventilating the entire.
No.
Don't have to imagine it sometimes.
Yeah, no.
Oh. It was it.
Thank you.
Oh, so this is an out of topic thing, and this is a weird thing to say in person or in public.
Yes.
I am coming out as, I mean, I'm bi, but I'm ace.
Interesting. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm ace.
Congrats on coming
This
out.
is kind of reminding me of that
Congrats.
recent video from Jaden Animations.
Yeah, no, Jaden made me realize how ace I am. I've known this for years. It's just that it wasn't, made clear to me until I watched her video. And, yeah, who would have thought that a weird, very flirty succubus like moi, or sadistic like moi, is ace?
All right, we finally got a question from Colby Kong. Ask all. Is this Q&A sponsored by Mountain Dew new flavored Spark?
Yeah!
I wish I would get sponsored.
This coming out is sponsored by Mountain Dew Berry Blast.
No! I hate you. I fucking hate you. You goddamn whore.
Guilty.
But no, I still remember Mountain Dew
Good.
Major Melon, and of course the one that one moment when Robin opens up a can, and she's like, "Guess what I'm drinking?" Oh, I think
What?
I was guessing it correctly. This stream is sponsored by Mountain Dew Major Melon. Everybody, yeah!
That's what I was
was-
referencing.
Yeah!
Ow!
No, you want to know a fun fact about that? I was using my phone when I was calling you guys and being in the stream, and I never thought that the receiving end would be that loud.
Okay, ask all thoughts on "Don't Toy with Me," Miss Nagatoro.
Galaxy can happily tell you all of that.
Oh no!
Here we
no!
go again.
No! No!
Question
Don't
guide.
open that can of worms, man. You don't know what you're doing.
Okay,
Question
give it
guide.
a brief summary.
Why?
Okay.
Why would you do this?
Okay, think of it like this. To give a brief summary or like inside joke, think of me and Golden
Oh no!
think of me and Golden in the same anime. That is literally what this anime is.
Question guy, why
Just-
would you do this to us?
I love this so much, bruh.
Okay, I'm waiting for the next question.
Galaxy, did you pay him off to ask that question?
He probably did.
What? No.
No, it's kind of like okay,
I'm starting to suspect a big conspiracy
okay,
here.
so I'm having the quick memories of when Brogar did a simple little comic, It was me, Wolfhead, and I think Deafhorse, and somebody asked Edwin, "Hey, what is what's the anime called?" Basically,
Peace.
what?
It was One Piece.
One Piece.
It was
It's
One
like,
Piece.
no, fool! What have you done?
But like the comic had it had Def and Domino in the background with Edwin, and in the foreground it was Golden, Bliss, Brogar, and Myth, and then Def just goes, "Say Edwin, what's your favorite anime?" And,
No,
and
what have
Domino
you
just goes,
done?
"No, you've doomed us all!" And then it just cuts to Def being in a desk, and Domino's like, "Well, we're doomed," and it just cuts to Edwin going, and he's about to
Yeah.
explain all of One Piece.
Here's
So Colby
here's
Kong,
kind of the thing. With,
No.
Colby Kong wants Riley to pull out the goofy voice.
Oh,
Yes!
Why would you want me to do that, you son of a bitch?
Because it's your stick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Max
Um,
told him to do it. Okay.
Max? Max? Oh, I think he's referring to Goofy's son.
Give his kid, yeah.
Maxie!
Maxie. I find that
Maxie.
funny because
Yo.
Maxie is what you call a long skirt.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Maxie or skirt or a maxi dress is what you call when it goes down to like your ankles. That's what
I've
you
heard of
call
a
it.
maxi pad.
I mean, that does not go down to your ankles, hopefully.
Oh my god. Okay. I was about to mention a silly little meme thing, and I told this to Def at one point, and it's about the Nagatoro thing. Turning Red, Nagatoro, was given shit even before the particular medium was released.
Hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, would you die?
No, you don't.
Bonk.
Dab. Dab.
Yeah.
Dab.
You gonna dab on the haters?
I dab on you.
Dabbing or stabbing?
Yes.
Dab.
Dab.
Yes.
I mean, either or.
Alright, so I'm ready for the next question.
I think the next question was about the what was it? The Pokemon one.
Yeah, we've already clarified that earlier. Thunder Kid. It's just it sometimes drives me nuts when they try to spell their names with like different kinds of coding.
But Golden, it is the leet.
Oh, shut it.
Hello, fellow Zoomers. Are you late like me?
Generation the region of Generation 9 is based on Spain.
Yeah.
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 Hello, fellow kids. How are you, Uwu?
No.
Fan name.
You.
Alright, Angela.
How are you, Lou?
Alright, Angela Speed. Sorry, Angela Speed has a question. What are your thoughts on Puss in Boots: The Last Wish?
Oh my god.
I
Honestly, it
haven't
looks
watched.
really cute.
I haven't watched any of the Puss in Boots movies after like
Me
Shrek
neither.
2, and after the release of Shrek the Third and how like terrible it was. I just didn't care for Shrek after that.
Sure.
The
The
animation
Poos-
was pretty good from the trailers.
The poos.
In regards to Puss in Boots, in general, I've always liked the
Puss.
idea.
I do need to see a movie about the Poos. I have not yet seen a movie about
The
the
only
Poos.
reason
the reason
I,
it worked
I
Cat
rem-
dolls.
One at a time. One at a time.
The reason the character of Puss in Boots works so well is because, one, despite him being a little bit sleazy, he is a heroic character. And also, I may be biased, Antonio effing Banderas, ladies and gentlemen.
He is hot. Just voice-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Very
Magical also asked a question earlier and it was glossed over. If you could be turned into an animal like Maylin Lee, what would it be besides pony?
Wolf,
Um,
wolf, 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 wolf.
I don't have any thoughts. Go ahead.
I would say, the red panda, but
May I ask a question about the question
Okay.
so that people can get through their answers while the question is being answered? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does the animal have to be an animal, or can it be a are you talking kaiju animals or just any animal in general? And are you talking like turning into, let's say, a pony that is 20 feet high, or are you talking about like any like normal size.
I'm guessing he's talking about like May's
Like
side.
giant?
No, like May's
No,
side.
Malin size from Turning Red.
Okay, let everyone else go through their answers.
I would say either a red panda like Malin Lee or cat or tiger. Yeah.
So, looking through the yellow ones, let's see.
Hold on. I do have an answer for that one.
Okay.
Naga.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh my.
I love this.
I figured you would, my dear.
Of course.
No.
I mean, you already grip like one, so.
Oh, thank you.
Aww.
Love you, cutie.
You make me blushy.
So, looking over the other questions, let's see.
Thoughts
on.
Can I go through?
Go ahead.
Actually, can I answer one for me and Def that he might find interesting?
Okay.
Oh, sure.
If we're going through cultural backgrounds, not to bring up Norse stuff out of the sudden. Def, who do you consider to be your patron deity? If you have one.
Fenrir.
Fenris Wolf. Okay. That'd be a curious choice, but I would have said had you become a berserker in the ancient tradition, from what I currently understand, though I'm not an expert, I have to look it up more. You likely would have turned. In Norse mythology, you were described as turning into an animal at points when a berserker gets enraged. And from what I understand, the nature of the animal you turn into can escalate, sometimes depending on skill or just the nature of what you became. Like in the beginning of the Volsung saga, two of the people, I unfortunately forgot their names from the early myth, and the Volsung family actually do go into a berserker trance where it is described as them turning into wolves. So, and if you were really experienced, I think you would turn, like, if you were, like, really badass at being a berserker and you could, like, take out armies of people on your own because they were just that horrifying, you were described as being a bear.
Oh, okay.
Fitting. The only thing that I find weird about this is that because I was a follower of Odin and technically a cedar practitioner in the Odinic sense, I would be able to turn into one of the rarest berserker trance animals. Which is essentially saying I can turn into a fox.
Ooh, foxy boy.
Yeah, the only dangerous thing about the fox berserkers is that they're still berserkers. They're not as, I don't think they're as focused as the wolves, but as in terms of pure fighting, but they have the weird ability to be able to lead other berserkers or command them to do things. They're the intellectual berserker, but they're still a berserker, so they can still rip you apart with their hands.
But intelligently.
Yeah, so if you were, exactly. So if you were a sorcerer or a follower of Odin and you went into a trance, you might become a wolf, or if you start and maybe a bear later, but early on, you might also, if you're really good at magic, you might become a fox.
Interesting.
I think some form of cat, probably, for me.
That does not surprise me at all.
Oh my god, Norwegian forest cat, you'll be a boomfer. Yeah, the size will be totally justified because you're like the biggest domestic house cat. You are like a dog-sized house cat.
Dog-sized house cat.
You're also really good at catching mice because they actually used those cats to catch small vermin because they were better at it than dogs in the region. And also, Freya's chariot was pulled by two of them. Because she was also the goddess of cats.
So, okay, so are we ready to move on to the next question?
Yes.
Probably.
Okay, so, let's see. All thoughts on the new Proud family, Louder and Prouder so far?
Oh, yeah. I love it so
I haven't
far.
seen it yet, but I'm curious.
I haven't seen it either. Like, even though the Proud family was around when I was a kid, I didn't have a general interest in that one for some reason. It's probably because it had too much of a sitcom-y sort of vibe to it. Even though I love the Simpsons, but
I love the original series, and I love like all the shenanigans between like Oscar and Sugar Mama and stuff like that. But the new series is honestly really good. I'm loving it so far. It's had its occasional hiccup.
I mean, it was a really good show on its own, but I think there were bits of it that reminded me of living in Detroit because I know it doesn't take place there, but like you would have a lot of ethnic diversity in Detroit to the point where like people just casually hang out around each other all the time without any real degree of separation. Like I went to a burger stand in Detroit like a few months ago, and you'll see everyone of every single background that ever came to Detroit just casually waiting with you. Everyone's on their phone doing whatever.
Well, like we're what 5 episodes in, and it has the exact same humor. It's basically like these characters never left. Honestly, it like they're depicted in the modern days with like social media and cell phones and stuff, but it feels like natural, and it doesn't feel forced in with the characters in the original series. Although what they did with the intro, it's grown on me a bit, but yeah.
Okay. So the next question: thoughts on the Chip and Dale live action movie? I like that.
I'm curious enough that I want to see it.
Yeah, like I think that the movie is trying to have this huge meta commentary over people like myself that people want 2D animation back. And you have like the two different like characters where one of them went under the CGI surgery or operation.
Right.
And there's actually a little scene where they comment over the bizarre designs of cats, which I thought was hilarious. And there's also a brief shot that was made a big deal from Equestria Daily, where they're riding some of the main 6 ponies from Friendship is
Yeah, they are. There's also that they somehow got Lonely Island on this, so I'm really wondering what they had them do.
It's like the only thing I'm not really. I don't know. It feels almost insulting to the original series because, okay, it's one thing if you're doing your own thing, but they went out of their way to say these are the original characters from that series, and they don't act like them or even have the same characters or even the sped up voices or anything. It's like,
No, dude, they're doing the French mistake. Do you know what that is?
What?
Okay, so from what I understand, the French mistake is it takes that medium and pretends that and sets it in another sort of sorry, I hit my vape. It puts it in. Think of it like this. Think of it like there's a universe or a timeline that you can have uninterrupted where it's all real within the context of itself. This is kind of like a branch off that says, hey, the show still existed, but it was fake. They were actors. So you can still have your canon undisturbed. It's just, here's another one if you like the movie. You can think of it like that. Because it's clearly a meta movie. I don't think you're meant to take it like seriously. Like I don't think anyone from Looney Tunes is like referencing Space Jam, if you know what I mean, even though it wouldn't break the show to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of a turn your brain off, don't worry about it kind of thing.
I guess. I don't know. I guess it just rubs me the wrong way that they're saying this is a continuation of the... Yeah.
I mean, clearly not in universe.
I know.
It's just a meta turn your brain off thing. It's not meant to be... it's not meant to be like a big reboot. It's not meant to be like a big reboot. But I know that show was one of the most requested to reboot.
Yeah, like
so what if it's like Disney either can't or doesn't want to, but rather than just tell people, they just made a movie about it.
I mean,
this could be testing the waters a little bit more to see if they could bring back the series in some other form, like they did with DuckTales. Like there was that one scene in DuckTales 2017 where they were there for like a little bit.
Sad noises.
Yeah,
very sad noises.
I'm still bitter about effing Disney canceling the show. 13 seasons, man.
Wait, somebody telling me to watch it?
Wait, what?
Did I offend somebody in the chat?
Wait, why? What?
Magical Star said, watch it, Golden. I was like, wait, what do you mean, watch it?
Oh, like to watch the show, maybe?
To watch okay. Alright.
Goldie, watch this TV show. Are you threatening me?
threatening me?
Alright, okay, so Colby's got a question specifically for Aeon. What is your favorite monster excluding the succubus?
Hmm.
Oh, and it was re-asked again.
Oh, okay. I could just be a cheeky shit and say incubus, but no, I'm not going to do that. That is an interesting and kind of difficult question. If we're talking pure monsters,
Do giant women count?
actually, yeah. If those count, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Nagas are fun too. But if we're going, yeah, I suppose that counts as a valid answer.
I just know you too well.
Yeah. However, I'll give an alternate answer if they wanted something horrifying. I can only classify this as my favorite because this terrifies me. Skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers, okay.
But officially, I'll put my answer as giant women first, and then Nagas, and then I suppose if you want an alternate spooky answer, then yeah, Skinwalker. But it was giant one, yeah.
Key.
All right.
Do we have any more questions?
Let's see. Are you excited for the Sonic the Hedgehog? Yeah, Sonic 2. Yes.
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 It's almost
Yes,
right
we
around
have the return
corner.
of
We have
return of
what?
competent Knuckles, voiced by Idris Elba.
Yes.
Sexy Idris Elba.
Yes.
It is Knuckles.
Yeah, but
No,
also
it's Knuckles.
there's talk about Tails having his own YouTube channel. I'd be down for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Also, more Jim Carrey.
Of course.
Galaxy
More
screeching in the
Jim Carrey.
distance.
Yeah.
No, I love how Jim Carrey starts as Jim Carrey and then gradually transforms into the Eggman that we're familiar with. Because by the end, he's got the bald head, the mustache, and he's even got the voice and the laugh. And you realize from the beginning, it's like, oh my god, you see him slowly go into this the entire movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh god.
And also, you can tell Jim Carrey is having so much fun being Eggman.
Yeah.
He's
I'm always
going
glad to see
full
him
Jim
back.
Carrey.
No, yeah, I like seeing him because you can tell he is. I don't know whether or not he plays the games or not, but you can tell he's genuinely having fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he
Also-
was stated to have been a fan during the 90s when Sonic was at its peak.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
So-
90s Sonic was so good.
Yeah, like
I was about to
Genesis.
say how
Even the adventure titles, in my opinion.
Sadium.
yeah. What was I about to say? First we're getting Sonic. Now we're getting, I think, a new Kung Fu Panda series.
I heard about that.
Yeah, I saw about
And
that.
that means I get double the content.
Nice.
And I have Jack Black content now, and I have Jim Carrey content now, which is amazing. I love those two so fucking much. Hold on.
Booples.
Yeah.
Happy kitty.
All right, so
No vomiting.
MLP YouTube series in a couple of weeks. Looking for any more questions. So, looking for maybe just one more. If we could.
Yeah, that's one good one.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask a question?
Okay.
If that's possible.
We already have one. Go ahead.
I was about to ask if you would be an ice cream flavor, which one you would guys be?
Cookies and cream.
I have no idea.
Yes,
I would
Aeon,
be-
what flavor would you be?
He'd be mint.
Sorry.
He'd be chocolate mint.
Ooh, is that how it come off to you?
Not
Yes.
to me.
How do I come off to you?
Hmm. Honestly, you'd be one of those like very strange ice cream flavors, like not the typical ones, but
Like-
something with like honey vanilla in there.
Like a Ben and Jerry's one or something.
Probably not a Ben and Jerry's, more Baskin Robbins, because Ben and Jerry's I find that they have like their types, and then they don't try and experiment very much.
Yeah.
Fair
Baskin
enough.
Robbins has a lot more experimentation.
I think I would be a Neapolitan ice cream, considering my OC's colors and all that.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
Dusky, I would describe you as dark chocolate cherry, and I would describe Def as mocha, but you probably saw that coming.
Who didn't see it?
Hey Golden, what would
Thank
you
you.
think yourself as?
I don't know what. Hold on.
I mean,
They're not in the chat, are they?
Yeah, they're not on the call.
They're not in the call.
Oh,
Haven't
Panda?
confirmed
Who
it.
isn't?
Yeah, Panda. Panda left like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago? 20
Oh,
minutes ago?
they're not. They're offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're in a
I'm gonna
message on
guess that their internet went out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Panda is occupied with a private matter.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm not
Yeah.
going to go into details.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Equestria guy, I don't think many of us have really seen too much of the Owl House, so I don't know.
I've seen Owl House. It is the
Yeah,
gayest show
but-
in the entire Disney
I have
universe.
been hearing about it so often, and like I've been meaning to watch it.
Sorry.
It's just there's like so many different kinds of shows I have to catch up on. There's that. There's The Mandalorian. There's the reason. Like I've been hearing a lot about Smiling Friends. I've been hearing about like.
Okay, Goldie, something I kind of might do in here is, I might just randomly come in because I want to rewatch all of Star Wars, but like everything that's available of it is one continuous thing. I'm tempted to just like go into like Phoenix Nest and like stream episodes and be like, "Hey, I'm watching this. Just join if you're here."
That does remind me of
Sounds like
something. Because I
Big
have
bad
that does remind me of something. I have Paramount Plus. In a few days, Halo is going to be starting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm cautious about that one because I heard one unfortunate detail.
I'm willing to give it a chance and see.
I'm
what
gonna
the
give it a
first-
shot, but I hope that one detail doesn't become a problem.
Yeah.
one
the
detail?
What
stuff-
did you hear?
Okay, the people who made the show have never actually played the games,
Yeah.
which is, I'm not saying that it can't be good. I'm just saying that that's not the first thing we want to hear.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
exactly the best sign.
Like, or at least if they haven't played the games, I'm hoping that they at least like read the books. Because if you tell me, okay, they read all the novels, though, I'd be like, okay, you know what, you can make a good Halo story if you read the books, because the Halo books are actually really good,
Okay.
like way better than you would think they have a right to be, too.
Yeah. I could also show you guys the new Proud family. Oh yeah, we should probably wrap up the podcast.
You know what? Yeah. We kind of do need to wrap things up here. So, so we've been at this for almost 3 hours. That's a bit of progress. I do want to kind of trim things down a bit more because I don't want these podcasts to be too long. But this was a bit of a fun discussion. We got our feelings out on some things. Turning Red in particular, I was looking forward to talking about the most. But making, I was having a little bit of trouble talking about Pokemon Presents, and trying to make something work out of it. We've had some things here and there, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast, and hopefully I'll see you guys somewhere during April, where we anticipate Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and a few other titles in which we'll just have to play by ear, because that's pretty much how these podcasts go. And you know what? I'm down for that. So,
And well, just keep in mind some of us might be at Babs at the time too.
well, okay, I will just have to find the time when you guys are not at Babs.
Mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let me know what the dates are so that way I can just work around the schedule.
Okay.
So yeah. That being said, to give some final, anybody have some final thoughts? Aeon, let's start with you first.
Just final thoughts in general.
Well, just any final things you want to say before the podcast ends.
Podcast was fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Woo.
Well, you didn't have to comment on the podcast itself. Like, just say like something else you want to add before we end the podcast. That's what I mean.
It's open KOTOR is good. That sounds like a fun game. But
okay.
Other than that, everything seems great. Podcast was fun.
Deafhorse?
Just this.
Just this?
I don't think anybody heard that. Damn it!
No, your mic didn't pick it up. Whatever.
Oh, Lord, get your shit together.
Well, I got something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know how like turning red is all about the whole puberty thing, and how we said that the mother didn't give her the talk, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite characters said. He was just like, "You'll see, Maxie, your dad doesn't have sex. Your dad fucks."
Oh my god.
Oh, right. I have something.
Okay.
You can censor that out.
No, I remember that quote, dude. Nice.
Pretty sure someone's gonna clip that.
But anyway,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have something. Get Tails. Dip him in gold. Congratulations, GoldenFox.
I'm going to kick you out of the call.
What's the matter there, Maxie?
When you said get tails, I took that completely differently. Is that bad?
Oh,
It's a pun. It's a pun.
No, I understood.
I know.
Golden,
I know what's
we
going
do it because
on.
we love you.
I know. You know what? It's at least better than the other. You know what? I'm not even gonna try to touch that one.
Don't
I was
jinx
about
it.
to say. Anyway.
What were you gonna say?
Hey, Goofy, put him in a podcast. Congratulations, Ryley.
Thank you.
There you go.
Dusk, do you have any final things to say?
No, just always lovely to be on.
Okay then.
Same.
Have a good night. I'll see you guys next month.
Good night.
Bye bye.